잠시 후 오리엔테이션이 있겠습니다. 곧 행사가 시작될 예정이 오니 화면을 아직 공개로 바꾸지 않은 참가자께서는 화면을 켜주시기 바랍니다.
안녕하세요. 국제적 언어 감각을 습득하고 언어 능력을 향상시키는 제21회 2021 IOIF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회 대전 충청 본선 대회에 참석하신 여러분 환영합니다. 저는 오늘 오리엔테이션을 맡은 이지은입니다. 국내 최대 규모 최고 권위를 가진 IOIF 영어 말하기 대회는 코로나로 인해 활동이 제한되고 위축된 청소년들에게 새로운 기회를 제공하고 영어에 대한 자신감과 영어의 부담을 뛰어넘는 계기를 부여하며 외국인들과 소통할 수 있는 인재 양성 그리고 영어로 하는 자기 표현력 강화를 목적으로 진행됩니다. 그럼 지금부터 원활한 대회 진행을 위해 발표자분들이 유의하실 점에 대해 말씀해 드리겠습니다. 먼저 발표 시작 전 유의사항입니다. 웹 카메라 사용이 가능한 노트북이나 컴퓨터를 사용하며 주변에 소음이 없고 인터넷 상태가 좋은 곳에서 참여합니다. 중 입장 시에는 이름을 구분, 발표자 번호, 본인의 이름 순으로 설정하며 주최 측에서 보내드린 가상 배경 화면으로 설정합니다. 대회 시작 40분 전에 출석 체크 및 발표 리허설이 있습니다. 다음으로 발표 시작 후 유의사항입니다. 발표가 시작되면 화면을 켜고 바른 자세로 대회에 임합니다. 다른 참가자들이 발표하고 있는 동안 모든 참가자들은 이동을 자제합니다. 단, 급한 상황 발생 시에는 관리자의 연락처로 문자합니다. 발표 시간은 중고등부 3분, 대학부는 4분입니다. 발표자는 시상식까지 참석하며 미참석 시에는 수상이 취소될 수 있습니다. 이번 영어 말하기 대회를 통해 어떤 어려움을 만나더라도 이겨낼 수 있는 강한 마음이 형성된 글로벌 리더로 성장하는 계기가 되시길 바랍니다. 이상으로 오리엔테이션을 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
손 올려주세요. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 21st IOIF English Speech Contest. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to the 21st IOIF Online English Speech Contest 대전 충청 Regional Finals. Before we start today's contest, we'll watch an IOIF promotional video.
우리는 2001년부터 지금까지 늘 새로운 일에 도전해왔습니다. 청소년들에게 행복과 희망을 주기 위해 쉬지 않고 달려왔습니다. 전 세계 210억의 지부를 두고 수많은 청소년들을 미래의 지도자로 양성하고 있는 IOIF. 이제 우리의 도전은 다양한 결실을 맺고 있습니다. 우리는 한 사람의 인생을 변화시켰습니다. 청소년기, 원하는 삶을 살지 못해 부모님을 원망하고 세상으로부터 반항아, 문제아로 낙인 찍혔던 이한솔. 친구와 담배, 게임 중독에서 헤어나오지 못했던 그를 변화시킨 것은 월드캠프였습니다. 사람들과 소통하는 법을 배웠던 2주간의 시간. 그는 현재 IT IYF 지부장으로 절망 속에 살아가는 IT 사람들의 마음을 치유하고 과거의 자신처럼 꿈을 잃고 방황하는 IT 청소년들에게 희망과 용기를 심어주고 있습니다. 매년 한국과 해외 곳곳에서 열리고 있는 월드캠프는 이제 세계 최대 규모의 청소년 교류의 장이 되었습니다. 마음의 세계를 가르치는 마인드 강연, 다채로운 세계 문화 공연과 여러 분야의 지식을 배우는 아카데미는 우리만의 특별한 프로그램으로 세계 청소년들의 삶에 실질적인 변화를 일으켜왔습니다. 매년 한국에서 개최되는 월드문화캠프는 약 60개국 4천여 명의 청소년들과 청소년 지도자들이 참가해 월드캠프의 세계적인 규모와 수준을 보여주었으며 해마다 30개국이 넘는 국가에서 개최된 해외 월드캠프는 IYF 청소년 교육 프로그램에 각국 정부의 신뢰를 입증해 주었습니다. 우리는 한 국가의 미래를 바꾸었습니다. 어떻게 하면 세계 청소년 문제를 해결할 수 있을까? 우리는 청소년 문제를 담당하고 있는 각 나라의 청소년부 장관들을 초청했습니다. 머리를 맞대고 함께 고민하며 같은 목표를 향해 노력하기로 약속했습니다. 각국으로 돌아간 장관들은 자국의 청소년들을 위해 일했고 1년 후 다시 한국에 모였습니다. 그리고 다시 의논했습니다. 이것이 민간 차원에서 처음 시도된 세계 청소년부 장관 포럼입니다. 청소년 문제 해결을 위한 국제 네트워크가 형성된 것입니다. 또한 포럼에 참석했던 장관들은 각국의 청소년 문제 해결을 위한 방법으로 IYF 월드캠프를 채택하면서 든든한 후원과 지지를 보내주었고 자국 정부에 IYF를 소개함으로 각국의 대통령, 총리들과의 만남으로 이어져 IYF가 전 세계 청소년들을 위해 일할 수 있는 커다란 발판이 되었습니다. IYF는 세계 청소년들에게 자신의 틀과 한계를 뛰어넘는 도전과 마음에서 시작되는 진정한 삶의 변화, 민족과 국가를 초월하는 연합정신을 불어넣으며 새로운 미래를 열어가고 있습니다. 다른 사람들을 위해 자신을 기꺼이 내어줄 수 있는 아름다운 나눔과 봉사가 있는 IYF. 이제 우리는 여러분과 함께 청소년들이 믿고 디딜 수 있는 발판이 되어 그들이 한국을 넘어 전 세계로 더욱 높이 도약할 수 있도록 도울 것입니다. IYF와 함께하는 수많은 청소년들이 세상을 비추는 별이 될 것입니다.
Everyone, please turn on your videos on. This year again, we are holding this speech contest online due to COVID-19. Unlike last year, however, this year you've all already recorded your presentations. I can imagine how hard you had recorded your speeches over and over again until they became perfect. I hope you have poured everything you've prepared into it. Most of all of you are already winners because you are challenging yourselves. Now, we'll officially start the contest. Please join me the opening with loud cheers. We'll begin the 21st IYF Online English Speech Contest 대전 충청 Regional Finals. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to listen to the words of encouragement from Mr. Lee Myung-soo, a member of the National Assembly, followed by the words of encouragement from Mr. Bang Moon-taek, the chairman of IYF.
여러분 반갑습니다. 저는 충남 아산 출신 국회 이명수 의원입니다. 오늘 특별히 국제청소년연합이 주최하는 영어 말하기 대회를 통해서 여러분과 함께 비록 온라인이지만 함께 하게 돼서 정말 영광입니다. 잘 아시는 것처럼 지금은 지구촌 시대고 글로벌 시대입니다. 이런 글로벌 시대에 가장 필요한 것은 언어의 능력을 얼마나 갖추느냐 하는 것이 가장 중요한 요건입니다. 특히 영어를 통해서 국제적인 통용과 모든 행위와 질서의 기본적인 유통의 흐름의 기본적인 요건이 되고 있습니다. 이번에 특별히 학생들의 이런 온라인 영어 말하기 대회를 통해서 그런 이 국제적인 자질과 그런 요건을 갖추는 특별한 계기를 만들어주신 국제청소년연합에 대해서 감사를 드리고 여러분 모두가 수상자가 되고 승리자가 돼서 영어를 통해서 글로벌 시대를 앞서가는 그런 여건이 되기를 바람하지 않습니다. 이 좋은 가을날 여러분 좋은 영어 말하기 대회를 통해서 여러분과 함께 글로벌 시대에 더 앞장서가는 그런 훌륭한 여건이 되기를 바람하지 않습니다. 다시 한번 축하드리고 참여하신 모든 분의 건승을 비럼하지 않습니다. 감사합니다.
여러분 안녕하십니까? IYF 회장 박문택입니다. 제21회 IYF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회에 오신 여러분 진심으로 감사합니다. 여러분들이 지금 이 본선까지 오시는데 많은 고비들이 있었을 겁니다. 2장 남짓한 그 원고를 적는데도 많이 힘드셨죠. 그냥 생각하기에는 쉽게 적지 그렇게 생각하셨지만 막상 내가 이야기하고 싶은 것 또 영어 말하기 대회에서 할 만한 것들을 여러분들 속에서 끄집어내서 그것을 문장으로 만들고 하는 것이 쉽지 않았을 거예요. 그것뿐입니까? 이제 그걸 다시 영어로 이렇게 번역을 하셔야 되고 또 중요한 건 외우셔야 되죠. 예. 내가 생각하기에는 이 정도면 쉽게 외우겠다 생각하셨는데 또 그 2장 정도 외우려고 하니까 많이 이렇게 힘드셨을 거예요. 외우는 데서 끝나지 않고 이제 그것을 얼마나 더 효과적이고 또 재미있게 이야기해야 될까 이런 고비들을 여러분들이 넘어오셨습니다. 처음에 하기 힘들고 또 하기 싫은 마음도 있었지만 결국 여러분들 이 고비들을 넘고 본선 자리에 섰습니다. 그것만으로도 여러분 대단한 일을 하신 것이고 정말 우리가 살면서 그냥 편하고 내가 하고 싶은 것 우리가 거리에 이렇게 가면은 이런 문구들이 있어요. 생각대로. 예. 하지만 여기에 오신 여러분들 생각대로 살지 않고 삶의 방향을 정하고 또 도전해야 될 것들을 여러분들 도전을 하고 이까지 오셨습니다. 여기까지 오신 것만으로도 여러분들 성공을 한 것이고 또 오늘 이 자리에서 여러분들의 기량이 마음껏 이렇게 발휘될 텐데 여러분들이 이 중에 입상을 하시는 분들도 있고 또 그냥 이렇게 가시는 분도 있고 여러분들이 계시겠지만 하지만 그것과 상관없이 여러분들은 인생에 도전을 하면서 사는 그 삶의 시작이 되었습니다. 앞으로도 계속해서 여러분들 새로운 일에 도전하십시오. 못한다고 물러가 있지 말고 또 싫다고 빠지지 말고 모든 새로운 일에 또 힘들어하는 일에 부담스러운 일에 도전을 하십시오. 처음에는 모르지만 그런 것들을 넘어가 보면 나중 여러분들에게 많은 인생의 선물들이 주어져 있을 겁니다. 여러분들이 많이 어려운데 또 힘든 형편에서도 이렇게 많은 분들 참석해 주셔서 너무 감사하고 이 영어 말하기 대회가 여러분들에게 더 큰 삶의 기회가 되어지고 또 여러분들 마음을 더 훈련시키고 단련시키는 그런 계기가 되길 바라겠습니다. 편안한 마음으로 즐거운 마음으로 이 대회에 임해 주시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
Now, let me introduce the judges starting from the chief. Mr. Jim Moeller from IYF English Department. Mr. Yoon Jun-sun, a chief researcher from Farm Hanong Corporation. Now, the chief judge, Mr. Jim Mueller, will give us the judging criteria.
And what we're looking at is the topic creative and appropriate? Is it a logical and well-organized script? And are the expressions appropriately used to convey what you're trying to tell us? Each area, this one and the second one, they're worth a maximum total of 50 points each. The second area is the presentation skills. This is you. And several areas we'll be looking at under presentation skills or the pronunciation clear and understandable. That doesn't mean do you have perfect pronunciation. It means can we understand you without having to rely on looking at your script. Second area is the presenter's posture, attitude, character reflective of the speech. Excuse me one moment. Sorry about that. Are gestures and facial expressions that you use, are they appropriate? Do they match what you're trying to say? And are the contents well understood, and do you present them well? Do you convey your idea well? Now, time shouldn't be a problem since these are pre-recorded, but each speech should be 4 minutes or less. The last thing that I could say is I know everyone probably worked very hard on their speeches, very hard to present today. And we're truly thankful that you joined us in the contest today. And we really look forward to judging your speeches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are you ready to start? I hope you can pay attention and enjoy listening to the speeches. With contest number 1, Kwon Ki-sung. The title is Double-Edged Share.
When I see such interesting photos or videos, I share them on social media. Because fun things are more enjoyable when you watch them together with others. We share a lot of things through social media. We share interesting videos like before, laugh together, share the news that the epidemic is prevalent, and worry together. We can share various writings and build knowledge of the field and feel intimacy and belonging to the people we share. Therefore, it can be said that the sharing function is in a very important position in modern society. Then, have you ever asked yourself, is this really true when you shared articles? Most people probably share them without much thought. It's annoying to decide whether it's true or not. However, if the inadvertently shared article is first and the impact of the article is great, it will be difficult to pass as annoying anymore. Last year, I read a post written by someone on social media. It, which was already shared by several people, said that a bakery near my house would be included in the path of COVID-19 confirmed patients. In the article, There was a picture of several people wearing protective clothes at the entrance of the bakery. It was a shock because it was a bakery that I used to go to. I shared this article and wrote to my friends living nearby to be careful. However, a few days later, the bakery owner posted himself. The bakery has never been visited by a confirmed patient, and the attached photo was also a photo of regular disinfection. He said he would shoot the first person to spread false information, saying that the number of customers dropped sharply after the first post spread and went on the verge of bankruptcy. I was shocked to see this article, and I came to look back on myself who had shared the article without thinking. Korea is not the only problem with spreading false information through social media. In the United States, people who are not exactly aware of the seriousness of the coronavirus outbreak created a corona party. It is a party aimed at sharing the virus through catching and creating antibodies for themselves, which is very dangerous. Unfortunately, some of the people who actually attended the party were infected and died. As we saw in the case above, sharing false information can cause big problems. So now we have to think one more time before sharing. When we try to share an article, we have to ask, is this article really true? If you're not sure, or if the article can have a negative impact on someone, it'd be better not to share it. We have to share good news with people. From today, let's stop for a while and make a habit of thinking before sharing articles. We have to share carefully for my neighborhood and our society. Thank you.
Contest number 2, 김민서. The title is Love Myself First.
Do you love yourself? If someone asked me this question months back, my answer would clearly be no. But now I answer yes. I will tell you about my personal experiences which ultimately changed my mind. When my relationships with close friends or a boyfriend ended, I really found it difficult to accept the pain that came with breakups. After every broken relationship, I harshly blamed myself, saying, if I hadn't done that at the time, I wouldn't have experienced this painful moment, and I should have overcome it. I learned that being warm-hearted was rather problematic in many cases, and I began to ask why I was born with such a personality. I wasn't able to accept my friend's advice that I needed to forget about past relationships. What's worse, I failed to face reality. This feeling led to my social isolation, so I felt hopeless and helpless for a while. A close friend of mine told me, everyone else is fine, but why are you the only one having such a hard time? One day, the following questions came to mind. What can I do for myself, not for others? In what situations am I happy? When my mind was full of these questions, I had an opportunity to work for the Welfare Center for the Disabled as a reading teacher. The students were about 20 years older than me, but their mental age was much lower. So it was very difficult for me to lead this class. What book should I use? What kind of activities are good for them? What stories should I describe not to upset them? I was extra cautious about every choice of word and action. However, contrary to my concerns, the students felt very happy and even complimented my class. Saying, Mr. Teacher, I had great fun today and I can't wait for the upcoming activities next week. In addition, about 1 year ago, I started to take pictures for fun to reduce my stress. So I worked part-time and saved 800,000 won to buy a camera. I took pictures of flowers and pretty things that caught my eye while walking on the street. While traveling, taking pictures of my friends and sharing my favorite photos with them gave me great pleasure that I never experienced before. As I did what I wanted to do, met others, and worked hard taking responsibility, I was able to be surrounded by many good people. Since I met many people who supported me and cared about me just as I am, I asked myself one day, if I don't love myself, who can love me? Then I finally learned how to love myself by recognizing that when I love myself first, people around me can love me. Through the breakups in my past relationships, I was able to find my true happiness, which was the most touching moment in my life. I'm still on the way to searching for happiness by keeping love myself first in mind. Thank you.
Contest number 3, Kim Ye-bin. The title is The Importance of Ordinary Daily Life.
How are you living right now with COVID-19? Imagine it's before COVID-19, better yet. Imagine COVID-19 never happened. What would you be doing right now? I bet there are still a lot of things you're unwilling to do because of the many stress in your life. With the onset of COVID-19, the whole world is taking a lot of damage, and with it, many big and small changes are taking place around us. In 2019, the entire nation had a difficult time due to the sudden arrival of COVID-19. It was something that no one had ever experienced, and it was even more difficult and unsettling because I had never even known about it. Above all, everything has changing as our lives have changed from face-to-face to non-face-to-face due to COVID-19. Even if we live in the era of COVID-19, various difficulties and damage will occur. The big problem is that not only the confirmed cases, but also the deaths continue to occur, which is not easy no matter how careful you are with getting a vaccine, wearing a mask, and being careful. And I think it's time to realize how much we depend on doctors, nurses, career drivers, police officers, and firefighters because of COVID-19. Although they do not lose their jobs due to COVID-19, they are easier exposed to COVID-19 and carry the risk of infection. However, it is a situation that no one can avoid, and everyone is living unfaithfully to their respective rules. I have been thinking about living on campus and doing face-to-face classes, making friends, and doing things I have planned one by one. However, due to COVID-19, which came unexpectedly, at first, I resent someone, became depressed alone, and worried again. So I spent most of the years at home. But I think that perhaps COVID-19 is becoming part of our daily life. No one knows when the COVID-19 crisis will end, but I desperately want face-to-face classes for the little happiness of walking around the streets, eating delicious food, while sitting at the cafe or restaurant with many friends, traveling with family, and participating in big festivals and events. When I think about the ordinary and natural times we spent, now I think that were precious times. Do you feel it too? The preciousness of ordinary and natural times. Thank you.
Contest number 4, Kim Jun-hee. The title is A Power of Fantasy.
Would you kill yourself if I told you to get up and fall off the window? Would you think I'm out of my mind? Right. If you're not insane, you never want yourself to get hurt. But surprisingly, there are actually some people who threw themselves and died. Have you heard of kamikaze? Kamikaze is a Japanese suicide attack method. They carried bombs and crushed themselves on enemy ships to win World War II. Yes, this sounds crazy. How did they ignore the fear of death and sacrifice their own lives? Wouldn't they have felt extreme fear? What led them to act like that? The answer lies in fantasy. We cannot change the other's behavior right away. What we can gradually change, though, is the inside of human mind. Among the inner side, there lies fantasy. There's nothing more dangerous than planning fantasies on humans. If you fall and crush yourself, there will be positive consequences. They inject this into their inner mind and repeat this. You're doing a good job. Thanks to you, your family will receive tremendous benefits and be happy. You will be remembered in the country forever. And repeat, repeat, repeat. This creates a fantasy for them. And this fantasy eventually leads to change the behavior. Fantasy. Yes, fantasy is a fact. It is a tangible fact. Kamikaze is a bad example of fantasy. However, due to someone's fantasy, war and massacres broke out, bridges were built, and phones were invented. To pass over this metaphorical river, they measured the length of the river, made concrete, assembled screws, and imagined a series of processes, only to make the fantasy to come true. And this is a positive example of fantasy that I want to focus on. Now, let's look at us in the present. Do we have fantasies? Well, people just turn over to YouTube screens with their blurry eyes. Since it's COVID-19, I need to rest at home. I'm satisfied enough with lying down and chilling. As a result, advances in technology have led us not to use this fantasy power. We just live a day in a repetition of the same life. Our same and boring days must change. Carl Jung says this: if you don't change your unconsciousness to consciousness, life goes helplessly. We call it fate. However, we can change fate through fantasy. We can change the person's behavior or create something new with fantasy. We need to have our own fantasies. A fantasy of what you want to be, and a fantasy of what you want to make. For example, I want to win the first place in this exam and walk proudly in front of everyone. Then, think of the fantasy every day and repeat. Winner sweetness, pride, and sense of accomplishment. Then, it will lead you to wake up sooner to make the fantasy to happen in your presence. You will make plans to study harder. This is how fantasy changes behavior. Even if we sometimes get lazy and frustrated, having fantasies will encourage us to achieve our goals. Thank you.
Contest number 5, Kim Jin-ju. The title is Human Works That Can Be Interfered by Robots.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to talk about the human roles in the future where robots are coexisting with us. Actually, not future, it's right now. These days, there are a variety of robot kinds doing lots of other works. For example, they construct vehicles, do precise in surgery, and they even play paddle. The number of robots are rapidly expanding as time goes. Although say in a couple of years there will be tons of jobs disappearing because of the replacement. Automatons can work for 24 hours, while people can work only for 8 hours a day. They do not need any payment, and after a robot in specific field being developed, they can be duplicated to enormous amount. Also, as science science and technology get developed, their performance will get improved. Humans, on the other hand, have to pay more over time, but as they get older, their work efficiency decreases. Therefore, I do agree that it is more efficient for companies and business to replace human beings with robots. In addition to these reasons, there are lots of other reasons why robots are threatening in job competition. In this situation, then what can a human do? As job disappears, new jobs are created at the same time, and there are things that cannot be replaced by anything but human. First, let's talk about new occupations that will be made as automatons get developed. Definitely, occupation related with robots will increase. What robots need help from people? For example, designing, fixing, selling, renting, and etc. These are the things that young kids can do in the future. Next, what about things that cannot be changed even though automatons are everywhere in the world? I believe emotion is an area which any machinery thing cannot help. Of course, you can get comfort, happiness, excitement from pet to AI robots, but it's different. No matter how long you spend your time with a well-made robot or your pet, conversation with family, friends, and colleagues will give you a remarkable difference in the rate of emotion. There will be no one who will make AI make you feel bad, which means you can only feel good emotion with robots. But when a child grows up, lots of emotions are necessary. By growing in various feelings and situations, you can learn how to live with others, how to considerate, and how to achieve what you want. Another part that cannot be alternated is making a decision. Robots can come up with objects or policies with lots of information that may help people in living. However, only humans can make decisions after thinking whether the object or policy is really helpful, whether there are not any side effects, and whether it's feasible. Robots do seem to make their own decisions, but those are not by themselves. Within the framework set by humans, they only make X determination for result A, Y determination for result B. I reckon what humans should do in the world with robots are what only humans could do, and parts that robots need help from people. I am sure that as the number of fields in which robots are involved increases, and as time passes, what humans must do will clearly appear. So it's unnecessary to think that robots will reduce what humans can do in the future. Thank you for listening.
Contest number 6, 김현철. The title is, Are You Creative?
I want to say this before I start. There are no creative people in the world. There are only people who know how to enter a situation that makes them creative. There was an interesting experiment in an ordinary elementary school. It's a very famous experiment in cognitive psychology. Researchers showed the students toy blocks of various shapes and give them 30 minutes to make something new and creative. However, according to the time and order of the instructions, children became either ordinary students or the most creative students in the world. It doesn't seem to make sense, but it actually happened. Students in Group 1 were asked to choose 5 blocks and then create new and amazing things. Students didn't choose a unique and cup block because they thought they couldn't handle it. 70% of male students made cars, and 80% of female students made houses. In Group 2, there was a change in the time and order of instructions. So before seeing the block, children were asked to say what they would make if they were to make something new and amazing. Children made amazing suggestions, like a robot that protects world peace and program for unification of the 2 Koreas. The children then look at various blocks and choose 5 from them. When the children finished choosing their block, they were again asked to exchange the selected block with the friend next to them. Can you imagine how difficult it was for the children? The students in Group 2 got much higher scores in creativity, innovation, and originality than in Group 1. Although the blocks they had were the same, the children who first talked about what they wanted to make had unusual results. We call this dreaming. When I first entered university, I said this to myself. Okay, let's have the most meaningful university life. And now I graduate next year. What kind of university life do you think I had? At first, I thought I couldn't do anything because I was busy doing assignments and taking classes. I thought it would be terrible to stay like this until graduation. So I was busy, but I started doing more activities, overseas volunteering, participating in many contests and club activity, and even joining ROTC. My friends often ask me if I'm crazy and why I live like that. Of course, sometimes I get tired. However, through this experience, I was able to see what other people couldn't see, and I was able to see ordinary things in a different perspective. And I made my life the most meaningful and creative. Cognitive psychologists do not use the expression creative people. Instead, they use people who know how to enter a situation that makes them creative. Situation variables are much more powerful than ability variables. What kind of dream do you have? I hope you have a dream and make your life creative. Thank you.
Contest number 7, Kim Hae-min. The title is Getting Rid of Prejudice.
Do you have any favorite food? Food varies from region to region, climate to climate, nation to nation, as they generally come in different shapes and tastes. Mostly, we enjoy the food itself, just as we are different in appearance, personally, and ways of thinking. Each of us has our own unique taste. So, when you discover one's unique taste, it's easier to embrace the person as he or she is. I was not originally an accommodating person, but I want to tell you how I came to change my perspective. What comes to your mind when you get to meet those with disabilities? I initially thought the disabled were the people I had to have because they seemed to have more physical disabilities than I did. Once, I volunteered at a social welfare facility called Gaonuri. I was able to learn a lot of things there, which I didn't know about those people. I found out that there are more people with acquired disabilities than those with congenital disabilities, and there are people with low vision, as well as blind people among the visually impaired. Also, since deaf communicate in a variety of ways, not only through sign language, but also oral and written conversations, it is possible to communicate with the hearing impaired even if we cannot speak sign language. Above all, the biggest misunderstanding about people with disabilities I had was the fact that they have been living the same life as I have been. I used to consider them as somebody I needed to help, but the truth was, I actually needed their help. For us to live as members of this society, we have to get along together. I made a lot of mistakes while doing something I had never done there. The disabled came to me first, touched and helped me. They were not different from other ordinary office workers. They went to work at their set time with sleepy eyes, wondered what side dishes would be served at lunchtime, and when it was time to go home, they were happy going back to their own individual lives. I had never done there. I got used to work with the help of people with disabilities, and I was so happy that I finally came to help them. However, those who said to me, "Hae-min, thank you so much for listening to me," so I was ashamed of myself for having a prejudice against them. And eventually, I felt very joyful to work there, meeting the heart of each and every person in the facility. Every day, we meet and live with one another. In particular, with the recent development of social media and the internet, a number of opportunities to meet people across race, countries, and religions are increasing, as well as the need to accept diversity. If we could only take off our tinted glasses of prejudice of certain things and intellect, with people with an open mind, we will finally be able to discover the true taste of each of us and live happily together. Thank you.
Contest number 8, 라주해. The title is, What does emotion mean to us?
Hey Siri, are you happy? Happy. If I had feelings, I could say that I'm happy. Then, do you mean you have no feelings? I don't know that. Is there anything else I can do to help? Last year, I went to Zambia, located in Southern Africa. There I met overseas volunteers like me. One of them had a personality opposite to mine. She was slow, passive, and thoughtful, so she couldn't take actions when doing something, which made me feel a lot of frustration. Why aren't you saying anything? We have to finish this by today. I couldn't stand her and started getting mad at her. And I felt she was also hurt by my words. I didn't even understand that she didn't express discomfort with me. On the other hand, I could understand the friend's feelings, so I felt sorry for her at the same time. I started getting more and more stressed because of those complicated emotions. We spent a few months like that, and the more we did, the more I hated the emotional fight. I was just thinking about what it would feel like if there were no emotions. As time went by, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I brought it up to her first. And she said to me, I want to work as fast as you, but it's not working well. And I was upset that you seemed to ignore me. At that time, many moments passed by my mind. I was ignoring her and her feelings, putting fast to working ahead. After that, we began to express our feelings honestly and adapt to each other's one by one. We soon felt happy knowing each other's feeling. Whenever I suffer from a lot of complicated emotions, I used to think like this. If I work with artificial intelligence as my co-worker or a friend, won't I waste my emotions? So I asked Siri. She said she has no emotions. Then, what about working with artificial intelligence, which accepts any of my feelings kindly and does not ask me to understand her feelings? Of course, the quality of work will be much higher. However, I think that learning and happiness that can be felt and obtained in human-to-human relationships will not be obtained in life with artificial intelligence. The friend and I felt truly happy when we heard and understood each other's feelings. That's when I learned that emotions are the evidence that we humans are alive. In the end, I'd like to conclude that sharing emotions and interacting with humans who are living and full of various emotions is source of happiness. In other words, isn't it a beautiful life to exchange different hearts with other people? Thank you.
Contestant number 9, Min Kyung-woo. The title is A New Solution to the Generational Gap.
Young people these days are so rude. This is from an ancient Egyptian stone tablet, 196 BC. Looking at this word, it may be human nature to see and teach the younger generation as subordinates. The difference in the way the older generation and the younger generation see each other is always controversial. When will this problem of generational difference end? Psychologists say that the generational differences are much greater than cultural differences. In other words, the difference between parents and children can be greater than the difference between Korea, in the United States. Do you agree with me? So I tell you one of the ways to solve this generation gap. It is, let's give the right compliment. Funny enough, Korea emphasizes we in its ego. For example, we say our country, our family. This is because Korea has a relationalism culture. In Korea, the word we is used more than the word me. It means my wife, but when we talk, we say our wife. The relationalism culture that emphasizes we even include the relationship with others in its ego. When we communicate with other generation, if we talk without respecting the other person's relationship, we are making a bigger mistake than blaming or admonishing them. For example, an old boss in a company compliments a new employee like this. Haha, unlike young people these days, you work very well. A boss definitely say it was a compliment, but this is not compliment. This is a wrong compliment. The new employee who heard this is now a person who shouldn't look like young people these days to his boss. Please don't do that to others. You have a greater sense, unlike an old person. This means that you only look good now and hate it if you look like an old person. Then, what kind of compliments is that? Giving compliments that consider the relationship to which the other person belongs is the best compliment. The boss says this is to the new employee. I guess your department manager is good at teaching you how to do things. You are very good at your job. Maybe it's because you are in that department. There are many compliments. In this way, it will be an unforgettable compliment for the new employee by praising the department and department head relate to the new employee. It is effective and more reliable to cite other people's evaluation and praise them. To sum up, let's respect the relationship of the person's generation when we talk and give him the right compliment when you praise him. I told you only one way because the time is short. However, I hope that the intergenerational problem will also be solved in line with a continuous developing future. If the day comes when the various generations that will continue to allies can sympathize and communicate together, I think our future will be brighter and brighter than now. It was a short time, but thank you for listening.
Contest number 10, Min Dong-gyu. The title is A Magical Word.
Saying I'm sorry exerts magical power. It delivers 3 messages at once. It's my fault, I admire you, and I value our relationship. On the other hand, not apologizing after making a mistake expresses messages like, you are the problem. I don't admire you. I don't care about our relationship. There is the worst situation caused by not apologizing. One day, a certain man found out that 20 million won had been withdrawn from his savings account and had no idea what was going on. After checking the whole process, he found out that his wife had secretly withdrawn the money to lend it to her brother. The man went to his wife immediately and had burst up. And he ended up murdering his wife with anger and was eventually arrested on the charges. He said, I made a mistake to her because she stood against me instead of apologizing. This tragedy might not happen if the woman admitted her fault and make apologies. Similar incidents like this are common around us, though we may differ in degree. I also once got into trouble by not apologizing. It happened on one day when I was playing with my friend swinging a long stick. He was filming me with his cell phone. Then I accidentally broke his cell phone while swinging the stick to and fro. Truly, my heart skipped a beat that moment, but because of my pride, I chose not to apologize. Also, I thought my friend was at fault too. Rather than asking for forgiveness, I told him being annoying. You shouldn't have stood there, as I was annoyed by him. I could see he was very dumbfounded, but his kind personality didn't let him vent his anger on me. And I didn't even think of apologizing to him, as I thought that it was okay between us. However, this kind of incident began to happen several times, not just once or twice. He could no longer stand it and got angry at me. You know, it's obvious that you apologize for your mistake, but I have never seen your apology. Looking at his angry face and trembling hands, I looked back on my mistake from the past. I realized how much he had been tolerating my mistake, and also that I'm a person who really don't apologize. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I sincerely apologize to him for all the time I passed without apologizing. Then he said, I see. I'm sorry I got angry too. And his face losing smoothly like a red paper. If I chose not to apologize even at this moment, maybe we wouldn't be able to get along well like before. Now, when I did wrong, even if it was by accident, I apologize to the other person first. That magically makes the other person to feel better. Everyone, do you also have the experience of not apologizing for your mistake because of your pride? Then why don't you offer an olive branch? Then the person before you definitely take it. Thank you.
Contestant number 11, Park Sun-nae. The title is What is Your Dream?
When I was a little child, I wanted to become a tree because of the book I read titled The Giving Tree. I wanted to be generous in giving like the tree in the book. When I was in elementary school, I had a dream to be a chef. And when I was in middle school, I wanted to be a teacher. However, I had lost the dream as I faced reality when I was in high school. As everyone enters the university shortly after graduating from a high school, I thought I should also do like them. So I applied to a university that I could go with my grades and entered the Department of Taxation. After entering the university, I realized that it didn't suit my aptitude at all. So I had to take a time off from school after finishing the first semester. What should I do now? There was nothing that I like, hate, and want to do. As I turned 20 years old, I thought it would be too late if I didn't decide on a career quickly. So I attended a special lecture that is designed for helping find a job. The lecturer said something that I had never thought of. If you like drawing, you have to be a painter. And if you like robots, you have to be a scientist. At some point in our lives, our dreams have become jobs. And he said, dreams are verbs and jobs are nouns. A job can't be a dream. Jobs are just tools for dreams. If you keep in mind these two things, you can do whatever you want. First, abandon the obsession of wanting to be the best. Second, don't be afraid of failure. Listening to this lecture, I realized why I lost dreams along the way of my life. I always focused on what am I going to do well, and I didn't pay attention to what I want to do. From then on, I tried to think about what I want to do. When I thought about the most enjoyable time in my life, it was when I did homework to make UCC with my teammates in middle school. Making UCC was a little hard, but I was proud of completing the video with my friends, and when I saw my friends having fun watching it, I was so happy. Because of that experience, I found out what I really wanted to do in my life. Everyone, do you know the entertaining TV program 신서유기? It is made of producer Na Young-seok. While watching the program of producer Na Young-seok, I conceded he is programming not only entertains people, but also makes himself happy. I thought I wanted to create a program like that. As producer Na Young-seok, I wanted to be a producer who makes programs not only for the viewers, but also for myself to be happy. Everyone, jobs are just tools for dreams. In the past, I had continually searched a job that I could do well to be the best and not making mistakes. As a result, I couldn't answer the question what my dream was. But now, I can answer it without hesitation. Now, I would like to ask you, what is your dream? Thank you.
Contest number 12, 서채은. The title is Discrimination Through Verbal Expressions.
Before I start my story, I'd like to ask you a question. Is our society truly equal? Let's take a moment to think about whether the way we speak in our daily lives include discriminatory expressions. Someone's ordinary expressions may be based on their privileges and so become a barrier to others. The term handicapped in decision-making can be construed to have a discriminatory meaning, but many Korean people use it with no awareness of this connotation. Why is the term handicapped in decision-making discriminatory? The word handicapped here means insufficient and used to describe something as inferior. Likewise, other words we use unconsciously may also be discriminatory. What's worse, it may be verbally abusive to others. I used to use verbally abusive words. I went on vacation last summer, and when my skin got tan, I said, I look like a Southeast Asian. Another discriminatory expression is, you're very white. In this expression, it doesn't mean that a person's skin is virtually white, but it directly refers to Caucasian people. This expression actually idolizes white people, and it can be taken as another type of racism, albeit positive when different ethnic groups come together. When discriminatory words like this are heard, some people may laugh, but others won't laugh at all. I feel ashamed about using these types of offensive words for the sake of humor or some other reason. We must watch out for the expressions we use because discriminatory expressions like handicapped in decision-making can be offensive to other people, right? According to Article 11, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution, all citizens are equal in the eyes of the law. This means that no one must be discriminated against based on their race, color, sex, language, religion, culture, and so on. We have created many systems and laws for equality and to end the discrimination. However, discrimination still remains. There are still people who fight and strive against being judged. Will discrimination still exist in society 10 or 20 years from now? If we don't make changes to become better and more accepting, a world without discrimination will never be realized, right? In order to make a better society with no discrimination, we should first avoid using discriminatory words that can be interpreted as abusive to others. After uttering a pejorative expression, we often respond to those offended by saying, I didn't know it would hurt you, or don't get me wrong. We must take extra caution and think twice about whether an expression could be insulting. Instead of make a powerful system of law against discriminatory speech, we should all recognize insensitive expressions like handicapped in decision-making and change the expressions to a neutral alternative like difficulty with decision-making. What do you feel about my opinions about discriminatory expressions? I hope my opinions will not hurt anyone here nor be heard as offensive. Again, as I emphasized today, we must pay more attention to our expressions and use expressions without any discriminatory connotations. Verbal abuse is type of violence similar to physical threats. So let's try to make a better world where no individual is discriminated against through our words. This is my dream. Thank you.
Contest number 13, 성은지. The title is Courage to Get Help.
Hello, I'm Song Eun-ji, a college student who is about to end the semester. My heart has been happy in recent months because I'm about to graduate. I started studying for the graduation exam, but I was pursued on many subjects, overwhelmed, and concerned about improvement after graduation. I was so frustrated that I decided to ride a bicycle. So I dragged my bicycle, which had been left unattended for a long time, to the playground. As I was riding a bicycle, I remembered learning how to ride a bicycle when I was in elementary school. When I first started running, I was scared to put my feet on the pedal, and after falling several times, I often wanted to give up. However, when I shouted, "Dad, I'm scared, help me!" my dad came to my side and handed me so that I won't fall. When I fell down, my mom and younger brother ran to cheer for me. A few days later, I was able to ride a bicycle without falling alone, and I felt a great sense of accomplishment and thanks my family for helping me. While thinking about it then, I look at myself again today. Can I finish this vast amount of study? Can I get a job? Feeling pressured, my mind was under dark and I wanted to give up getting a job. This mind was very much the same as I had when I started learning how to ride a bicycle 10 years ago. However, it was myself without the courage to ask for help that changed it. I was afraid that I would look shabby and weak if I asked for help. So I hid myself from the people around me, and I was the only one who was anxious. However, it's just my thought, and there are still family, friends, and teachers around me who can help me and be with me, and they are ready to help whenever I need their help. The thought of having carried all the burden on our womb makes our hearts dark and heavy if we are left in the middle of the desert. However, if you take a little time and look around, there are many people who can help you. If I listen to those who have walked to the path I have got to follow there as they are, I will be able to solve the problem. Or that's broke is courageous hearts that get asked for help. There is no one in the world who do anything alone. Everyone has some shortcomings and lives. By filling them with each other, when learning about it, anyone wants to learn from others to fill their shortcomings. If you come for anything with the courage to open your heart and get help from people around you, you will be able to do anything. Thank you.
Contest number 14, 안수현. The title is Sharing Problems with Others.
Hello everyone. How often do you exchange? When people talk and communicate, they get to know what the other person is thinking, and they help to flow together. Nowadays, people live in a world of technology with the popularization of digital devices such as computers and smartphones. Many people are into their smartphones while sitting down on the subway or going up the stairs. But when we have a problem, we can get out of trouble if we exchange with the other person through the conversation of the heart. I also use my smartphones often. As a result, conversation with people decreased a lot. I heard people around me say, "It's good to have a conversation often," but I didn't understand them. Why, brother? I have nothing to say. However, when I faced this one difficulty, I came to realize that exchange are really important. The difficulty was the stress caused by my grades in high school. Back in high school, I constantly studied during my break between class and about 3-4 hours in the evening after school. But when my grades went Now Peter, I had a hard time and was depressed. I thought I worked very hard. And I got angry when my friends around me said, "You didn't study properly." I felt like they were lecturing me instead of comforting me. So I didn't want to talk with them anymore. But then one of my friends came up to me and said, "Why do you think you are right without listening to what your friends say? Think about what they are saying." And instead, hearing this, I questioned my feeling of disappointment toward my friends. Although I was afraid to approach my friends firstly, I went up to them and talked about the instant I listened to my friends. And it turned out that they were fighting me to break the heart to trust myself because I believe myself thinking, "This is enough to get good grades." Since then, I have decided to study the way my friends tell me to study. I organized the materials that I didn't know well, took notes, and went to my teachers or friends who studied better than me to ask questions about things I couldn't solve. To my surprise, as I began to study like this, my grades improved much more than before. I realized that I was learning sincere conversation with my friends. When my misunderstandings were resolved, I also realized that exchange were crucial in life. When conversations between people are co-op, there are people peer exchange and peer watch. Everyone, you win the heart when you say things that are difficult to say, difficult problems, arise, but if you do not talk about them, you will suffer and your thoughts will even lead to suicide, isolating you with yourself. Do you also have unresolved problems? Don't worry about them alone, but talking about them with the people around you. Then there will be a solution to it. Thank you for listening to my lecture so far.
Contest number 15, 이상훈. The title is A Life Lesson Worth $30.
It was the first official day of summer break, and I was finally free to go home. Bye-bye teachers, bye-bye assignments, bye-bye due dates, and most of all, goodbye exam. I made my way to the bus terminal, and while waiting, I decided to use the restroom. When a stranger approached me and said, "Hey kid, mind if I borrow $30? And as any normal person would have answered, I said, no. But he asked again, "Please, no one else helping me out. I really need it, and I don't have any money on me right now." He paused, smiled, and continued saying, "I need to get home. I really don't have money on me. And this isn't a scam. I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I can." I hesitated a bit and took a brief moment to think about what to do. But I eventually decided to help him out. I went to a nearby ATM and gave him $30. As he took down my phone number, I had to hurry my way to the bus. On the ride home, I feel strange. Was I full? Did I just lose $30? He seemed honest. I should have taken down his number. He'll call when he's ready. And in the back of my mind, I waited for him to call. But weeks passed and no call. Thinking deeply about it, I got so angry at myself for being so dumb. I told myself, goodwill makes you a fool in this world. After that day, I decided not to give people the benefit of the doubt and to just mind my own business. I promised myself to never get scammed like that ever again. It seems like a sensible decision, right? Mind my own business, don't care for others, have the upper hand, and don't lose anything. However, as the time passed, I felt myself changed. I felt myself being indifferent to the people around me. I began to get a habit of ignoring calls from those I didn't need anything from. Unanswered calls and unread messages were piling up on my phone, and eventually I lost every contact with most of my friends. One day, a friend called me saying, "Hey, what are you up to these days? You didn't even reach out to me on my birthday. Is everything alright?" I could feel his disappointment over the phone. When I looked around, I didn't have many people left to talk to. Where was all the warmth and joy in my life? Right then, I realized I had done something wrong. There's a Korean saying which goes, "People are property." When I had decided to cut people off of my life, I lost more property, more money, and most of all, lost most important people. And all this because of $30. Come to think of it, there aren't many people around me who has caused damage or placed a bad influence on me. Actually, there are more much good people who truly care for me. Trusting my own thoughts has damaged my life more than the stranger at the bus terminal. Even if you've been in an accident by fire or water, you still cannot live without those elements. In the same way, even though someone has hurt me, I can't live without people in my life. I need my family and my friends to love and be loved back. There's no greater loss than blocking out the people who love and care for you. This is a life lesson worth $30 to me. Thank you.
Contest number 16, 이상희. The title is I'm Sorry.
Why do you always have to be so right? Why is everyone else the problem? I hear this too much. Okay, I admit that it's not easy for me to accept my mistakes when someone is pointing them out to me. Honestly, I never understood why people dig their noses into my business when I'm doing all things perfectly well and with good reason. And because of this attitude of mine, I've often argued with my friends and they nicknamed me Princess Thorn. And it was the attitude that often made me argue with my parents as well. Well, this year, my freshman year in college, I got a part-time job at McDonald's. I was in my uniform and hat with golden arches, and I just really wanted to do well on my first job. One day, I was receiving orders from a long line of customers as usual when an old lady came up. She seemed angry and said, "Hey, this coffee is terrible. I will not take this. Make me another cup." I was surprised, but I remembered what I was trained and politely replied with a smile. "Ma'am, the coffee here is made all the same from the coffee machine. Your coffee is the same as we serve the others." Furious, she yelled, "Don't try to teach me. If a customer says so, just apologize and make me another cup of coffee." With her yelling, everyone there started staring at us. I was angry and speechless. My manager came up and told the old lady, "Oh, we're sorry that we made you upset. Let me get you a new cup of coffee." Hearing that, she completely changed her attitude and said, "I'm sorry and thank you, dear." When she stepped out, he told me, "Hey, you must be startled. When you work here, there will be incidents like this which you cannot understand. Even so, when you deal with customers, you should start by saying, 'I'm sorry.'" After what happened, I started thinking, why was the old lady so angry when I talked to her, but reacted differently when the manager spoke to her? I was insisting the fact that I was right, but did not care about what the lady thought and did not try to understand her. It was so hard for me to admit that I was wrong. Saying I'm sorry had always been a big embarrassment for me. However, when I realized that I could be wrong too, even if it seems I'm right, it became easier for me to say I'm sorry. It was not something to be embarrassed of, but a lubricant that can smooth out conflict with others. I began to apply that lubricant little by little to the customers my parents, and my friends. And the result turned out better than I expected. Are you having conflicts with the people around you? Be bold enough to admit that you can be wrong too. And try applying the lubricant, I'm sorry. Then anyone would open their hearts to you. Thank you.
We have just finished the first session of today's contest. Now we'll take 10-minute break.
now, I'm living in a narrow world which I created by myself. However, the Word Camp has brought me into this broader and bigger world.
During the stay here in World Camp, I really became so happy. My hardship disappeared, and then while listening to the mind lectures, and then Gracia Square performances, and then the different countries that have performed their cultural performance, I really became so happy.
Well, I have never seen such a brilliant smiles before. But since I have met students who have gone through IVF courses, they are too happy, too excited, and they have a lot of zest in life.
The change in youth today is the world's turnaround. And this is where it is taking place in Busan, South Korea.
I have been living without love and thank, but now I'm different. I learned to thank in IYF.
Until now, I have never experienced the happiness, but in IYF, I did experience the happiness. I thought happiness is a far future story. IYF changed us.
여러분 모두 예수님의 사랑을 느끼시길 바랍니다.
I hope all of you will feel the love of Jesus.
우리를 위하여 십자가에 못 박힌 그 큰 사랑.
That great love of Jesus who was crucified.
그 사랑이 여러분을 유혹을 이기게 하고.
That love will have you overcome temptation.
악을 이기게 하고.
Have you overcome evil.
고통을 이기게 할 것입니다.
And it will have you overcome pain.
그래서 IYF 사람들이 다음 세대들이 그러한 귀한 일꾼이 될 줄 확실히 믿습니다.
I have met youths from all over the world. This is a world you can experience only in IYF. We observe ourselves changing through interacting.
Because we changed, we found family, and we are one!
Everyone, please turn on your videos on. We'll start the second session with contestant number 17, Lee Jin-hyo. The title is Using Plastic. Will it be okay?
Plastic is used in vinyl, plastic bottles, electronics, and even spaceships. are common around us and has greatly benefited human development. However, the Earth's environmental pollution caused by plastic use have reached a serious level. Among them, environmental pollution caused by microplastics continues to be raised. Microplastics refer to plastics less than 5 millimeters. It contains detergent, toothpaste, etc., or is made by decomposition of plastic. Recently, masks are widely used due to the influence of the coronavirus, and 113 billion masks are thrown away every month worldwide. Although recyclable discarded masks instead are thrown in landfills that break down and produce microplastics. You may wonder how much would a small piece of plastic less than 5 millimeters affect pollution. However, 4 billion microplastics are found on remote, uninhabited islands in the Pacific Ocean, and microplastics are found in 90% of salt produced in Earth's oceans. Even the canned tuna we eat has plastic, and microplastics are detected in most seafood, becoming part of marine food chain and coming up to our table, such as environmental pollution caused by use of plastic is no longer a story of the distant future, but a serious situation in which damage is already coming back to us. In the case of Korea, which has the world's #1 use of plastic per capita, is a campaigner to restrict the use of plastic. Various environmental campaigns, such as campaigns, restriction on the use disposable cups at fast food restaurants, and prohibiting the sale of microplastics containing drugs or cosmetics. However, Korea's plastic recycling rate is only 9%, and huge amounts of plastic are falling out every year. Many countries and companies around the world are working hard, but this will not be enough to prevent future plastic pollution. Now individual effects as well as countries and businesses are needed. If everyone strive with all needs, both human and living countries on Earth will be able to live in harmony.
Contest number 18, Im Kyung-ryun. The title is The Strongest Weapon.
The coronavirus is giving us fear and despair, leaving numerous casualties throughout the world. It's not only physical isolation, it's also bringing about isolation of the heart. But everyone, don't worry now. I found a weapon to overcome the fear and negative thoughts of COVID-19. I found this weapon when I went abroad to Russia last year. In March last year, I arrived in Russia with excitement and started volunteering. But I had to stay in only the branch, without being able to do volunteer work outside with native people due to the severe coronavirus. Since we couldn't go outside, we have prepared a lot of online events, as I hosted the event that taught Korean culture and event that taught Korean, my Russian language improved, and I had a really happy time. However, the happiness didn't last too long. What am I doing here right now? Did I come all the way to Russia to see the people on the screen? I was disappointed and had a hard time with the volunteer work that was different from what I thought. It was no longer fun and painful to hold an event online because I felt like I couldn't do anything outside the screen like a person driving the screen. One day, I went to the branch manager and said the difficulties I had in my heart. It was good to do online activities at first, Now, I don't even feel like I'm in Russia. If this situation continues, I think I'll live regretting coming to Russia. Then she smiled and said, Kyungyun, look at the happy faces of the people on the screen. Don't you think they look so happy? It seems like nothing to you and nothing special, but for those people, this event is the hope to overcome their fear of COVID-19. I felt like I was hit on the head. Unlike me, who was doing the same activities in the same space, but felt increasingly frustrated and unhappy, he had a completely different heart. And that heart contained a lot of happiness and hope. Through a short conversation on this day, I was able to connect my heart with that of the branch manager, who was feeling hope and happiness, and they finally came into my heart. Since this day, strangely, my life in Russia has become the happiest year of my life. Everyone, what do you think the strongest weapon against the fear and lethargy of COVID-19 is? The answer of mine is connection. Why don't you connect your heart to the hearts of others? I'm sure you will also be able to receive new power and hope just as I was. Thank you.
Contest number 19, Im Ju-kyung. The title is As Time Goes By, My Heart Gets Healthier.
If you like a person to brightness, what kind of person do you think you are? I was a very dark person. I was very bad at expressing my feelings. I didn't show that I was in a bad mood even if other people took my stuff, and I just left. And when I saw my friend who took my stuff, I was upset and had a hard time inside saying, she doesn't know me. In this way, I was used to hiding my thoughts or heart without telling others. What would it be like if there were people around you living like this, or if you are living like this? It must be frustrating, right? That's right. I had a frustrating and difficult life. I also wanted to change this personality, but it was not easy. Then I happened to know about overseas volunteer work and became interested. In 2019, I went to Thailand for overseas volunteer work. I expected to go there and make some new changes and change into a new look, not me before. Overseas volunteer work with that in mind. What do you think? I've been timid and dark for 20 years. Did I change it right away because I went abroad for volunteer work? It wasn't. I brought hope, but it got darker, saying, I guess I have no choice but to live like this. Looking at me like this, the branch manager told me, Ju-kyung, you have to put a card or bank book with money in the ATM machine to withdraw cash. If you want to withdraw cash without putting in a card or bank book, you are like a robber. Humans are just like that machine. If you don't put your heart in the other person, you can't get that person's heart. It is a foolish person who wants something without telling you about yourself. When I heard this story, I thought of myself before. I thought I didn't express my heart to anyone, but my life that I expected to change is long. Since then, I've been clumsy, but I've started to visit one by one and talk about my mind. I try to express my heart from my closest parents. Surprisingly, I could feel my heart flow little by little. Since then, I have become closer to my friends and parents, and now I have become a person who expresses and talks so naturally. Everyone, Redwood National Park in California has world's largest redwood tree. It usually survives more than 2,000 years and grows to about 120 meters and never collapses in hurricane. People thought the roots of this tree would be very long, but the actual roots are only 3 or 4 meters long. Although the roots are short, the secret to living for a long time is that each other's roots stick together to support each other and share nutrients. Everyone, now express your heart. The change that began like that will connect and interact with each other. And that connected mind will enable us to live a healthy and happy life. Thank you for listening.
Contest number 20, 장영화. The title is The Fox and the Grapes.
One day, a fox saw some grapes hanging high on the vine. His mouth began to water, and he leaped towards the grapes. However, he was unable to reach the grapes as it was hanging high. He leaped with all his strength to reach the grapes, but they were out of his reach. He tried several more times, but eventually failed. As he went away, he remarked, "Oh, they aren't even ripe yet. I don't need any sour grapes." The Fox and the Grapes is one of Aesop's fables. I lived my life just like this fox. When I encounter something, I would calculate how hard I must work to achieve it, or if I could achieve it when I try. And if I think the result would be negative, I wouldn't even try, but give up. When I was in middle and high school, I wanted to be a novelist because I love novels. However, I gave up right away after hearing that it is difficult to be successful as a novelist in Korea, and I wasn't even confident to write well. Sometime later, I thought of learning to draw and working in the field of art, but I gave up after hearing that learning art cost a lot of money. When I was a teenager, I had opportunities to challenge myself with the English speech contest, but I didn't even try all of them. This is because I thought I wouldn't succeed anyway, even if I try. I felt that effort without good results are unhelpful and meaningless. That is why all I could do was to play games or watch Netflix. One day I thought, I'm already 20 years old, but have I ever lived to achieve something? It might be that I have just turned my face away from the grapes I could have obtained just raising my head. When I thought about it, there were a lot of grapes all around me. Now I see grapes called the English speech contest in front of me. And this time I'm preparing to leap towards the grapes. I am not sure if these grapes are really sour or sweet. Frankly speaking, I am not even confident that I will succeed in reaching them. It's not like those grapes which seems to be hanged high are now seemed much closer to me. However, I know that if I don't live towards it even this time, being afraid of failure, I wouldn't know the taste of grapes that are in front of me for the rest of my life. I did have the heart to avoid it too, but now I decide to leap towards the grapes. This is because I believe that this leaping will be an experience for me whether I reach them or not. And I also believe that these experiences will be a stepping stone for me to leap higher next time. Thank you for listening.
Contest number 21, 장하영. The title is Proper Coexistence with Robots.
Cloba, sleeping mode activated. No, never mind. I'll watch just one more episode. Cloba, TV on. TV is now on. Cloba, play Squid Game. Squid Game, now playing. The conversation you just heard is one that my virtual assistant has every night when I just can't get to bed and want to watch just one more episode. I'm sure we've all been there, and more recently, this AI technology has become increasingly popular. Robots have become an inseparable part of our daily lives by providing us with a convenient and rich life. However, despite these benefits, the perception of robots is not entirely positive. Looking at the words of those who are concerned about robots and science and technology that are developing frighteningly day by day, they say robots will eventually dominate the human world because they are far superior to humans. The phrase, "I'll be back," was coined in the movie Terminator, but that's not all the movie brought us. Human-made artificial intelligence robots are self-intelligent and kill billions of people, putting humanity at risk and destroying it. Robots obeying us could be a danger itself. Just look at how Ultron interpreted the phrase, "peace in our time," and how very a comment from Tony Stark went. It's not just that these movies have caused people to have anxiety and fear about robots and science and technology taking over, but the fear also rises from what men will make AI do. In fact, these days, even if you try to buy a cup of coffee and a hamburger, you have to touch the kiosk screens first. When you go to a restaurant, the robot serves and the delivery app receives orders. You don't have to go to a bank or mart, and you can do all the work with a smartphone. I mean, today alone, I clicked my phone, it read my face, and tap Apple Pay to care of my morning coffee. All of the services mentioned just now have the advantage of being fast and convenient. However, all of those services were previously provided by humans. These services have now become non-human and inhumane. This quest for convenience has led us here. So, didn't the message that these AI world domination movies want to warn us to be wary of our idleness? A future that does not coexist with robots is impossible. Therefore, it should coexist, but be wary of excessive dependence on robots and the uses humans task them with. Therefore, since the design and system of robots depend on humans, that means the ethics robots conform to also depend on us. We gotta decide those ethical steps. We have to be attentive in our efforts to create peace in our time and decide on what that really means. Thank you.
Contest number 22, 전은성. The title is Flower and Flower Cup.
Do you have some that you respect? There are many great people and heroes we respect in the world. They change the world with minds and abilities that ordinary people do not have. But the person I want to tell you today is just an ordinary person, my homeroom teacher. I went on alternative high school located in Daedeongmyeon, Kimcheon-si, unlike other schools in Korea. My school is a dormitory type, and friends and teachers live together 24 hours a day. I was a student who would rebel against the teacher's admonition. And I also did not follow the instruction made by the teachers. But over time, I could see the teachers' heart and effort toward the students. When we went on a field trip at school, the teachers made a program until late at night so that we could have a more fun and useful time. I had a lot of thoughts while looking at the teachers' effort. There are many young teachers in my school, but why are they in a school deep in the mountain? And why are they sacrificing themselves for students who even don't listen to them? It'd be easier for them to earn money if they went out of this school and got another job. I really didn't understand why they had chosen a difficult path. They aren't paid a lot, and also the works that they have to do aren't easier than those in other schools. In particular, my homeroom teacher in the 3rd grade in high school seemed to have a harder time with the anxiety and the stress because of the student's career and grades. My homeroom teacher has been such a high school senior for many years. I have seen her trying to quit school several times whenever the graduation season came back. But she held tightly she's mind and started anew. The other day, almost every classmate in my class did not follow and also set their face against the teacher so much that we had no conversation with the teacher almost for 2 weeks. Once, I had told the teacher, I am afraid of your quitting school this time because you are having a really hard time because of the class. But the teacher said, I'm like a flower cup to help students bloom their flowers. Looking at you guys changing day by day. Even though it is hard, I think that is the reward of my life. I think the cup under the flower looks prettier than the flower in bloom. Even now, after my graduating, she is still doing her best as a teacher to blossom another flower at school. There are respected people who have achieved wonderful and great achievements. However, there must be someone who sacrificed herself as a flower cup for those respected people. There was a mother behind the great inventor, Thomas Edison, and there was also Sullivan for Helen Keller. I respect my high school teacher who entered school at the age of 26 and devoted herself to helping the students like me until the age of 35. Thank you.
Contest number 23, 전은혜. The title is The Easiest Way to Stop Abnormal Climate Change.
Recent news article includes serious global problems, not only global pandemic like COVID-19, but also global warming, environmental pollution, and natural disasters. Everyone feels sorry about the news these days, but we don't know how to practically help. So today, I would like to tell you a very easy way to protect global warming, reduce environmental pollutants, and save our farms. Do you know that agricultural products are one of the main causes of the environmental pollution and global warming? According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 30% of the agricultural products produced in the world, which is about 1.3 billion tons, are decayed every year because of small size and strange shape and short expiry dates. Most of these abandoned agricultural products are easily decayed due to moisture. This moisture turns into a high concentration of wastewater, causing water pollution and power odor, therefore aggravating environmental pollution by emitting greenhouse gases, the main culprits of global warming. So, the question is, are there any ways we can do to reduce easily abandoned agricultural products? The answer is food leftover. Food leftover is an unfamiliar word, isn't it? This is a compound word of food and refurbish. Generally, slightly scratched refurbished products with decent qualities are sold to the consumer at a lower price than user. When this process is applied to food, we call this food leftover, commonly known as ugly agricultural products. As a representative example of overseas, a restaurant called the Real Junk Food Project Run by a British social organization, began serving food made of food ingredients abandoned by supermarket and restaurant in 2030. Customers of this restaurant determine the pricing of food by themselves, based on the value of food they experience. This restaurant achieved a reduction of about 5,000 tons of food waste. Korea also has a food refurbishment market. Korea company named Farmer Space now can supply about 30% annually abandoned ugly agriculture products to food manufacturers through platform called Farm to Business. In short, F2B platform. The appearance of this type of market can lead to various social effects, such as increased farm income, reduced agricultural waste, and advanced distribution structure. Now, let me tell you how to practice food refurb and purchase ugly farm products. First of all, search ugly farm products in the internet. Then you will be able to find many websites run not only by famous shopping sites, but also by farmers. Next, go to the website, select the product you want, and pay for it. Simple process, isn't it? Environmental pollution and global warming may seem a difficult issue to approach. Some of you might have thought that there is nothing you can do in regards to these issues. However, it can be solved with your small attention and practice. Why don't we order ugly agriculture products from today? Thank you for listening.
Contest number 24, Jung Mi-hee. The title is Next Hero.
Do you like Marvel? Then I'd like to start by giving you a quiz. Marvel's latest hero is Shang-Chi, the first Asian superhero with his own movie. Today, I want to talk about another hero though. Don't worry, I'll give you a few hints as to who it is. First, this hero has the ability to acquire language fast. Second, running and jumping huge distances all day with excellent athletic skills does not get them tired. And finally, hypnosis allows you to read the other person's mind. Can you guess what it is now? Yes, the name of this hero is you. People can acquire languages even when your young cognitive skills are limitless. In addition, the human body produces cells every day because about 330 billion cell replacements occur a day. Young children don't get tired at all even if they run, roll, and jump in the playground all day long. And people have the ability to understand and sympathize with one another through the medium of words. So, you can see and feel everything going on in someone's mind. But that's not the extent of human superpowers. Our superpowers are often hidden away or neglected. We acquire language, but most of us communicate only with limited words and expressions. Still, 330 billion new cells are replaced every day, but I bet most of us here are guilty of taking the elevator up even just a single floor. With COVID-19, empathy often seems like a thing of the past. That's why it's a word where superpowers exist, but superheroes can't be found. I also have a special superpower. It's observation, and I like to observe people quietly and identify their characteristics. It happened when I was in high school. While talking to a friend, I noticed that she was still wearing a spring and autumn uniform in early June. I asked her about it a few times, but she avoided my questions. Then even during PE, she wore winter gym uniform, so I approached her and rolled up her sleeves. Her room was covered in bruises. Her mother had been abusing her. Things have worked out well since the incident, but imagine if no one had been noticed, her fear may have kept her in that situation. I discovered that my observation skills were special, but this ability is not just my own. It exists in you too. Everyone, all of you are superheroes. We are just living without being aware of it. Discover the infinite superpowers you already have and live your life to your heart's content. Heroes do not exist only in Marvel, but the real heroes on this planet are ourselves. The real world that real superpowers are going to create. Thank you.
Contest number 25, 정보림. The title is Courage to Fail.
Everyone, how are you doing in this COVID-19 era? I've been very busy this day. I did a lot of things such as the Korea camp and multicultural event that promote Korea culture only in the first semester. Don't you think I'm an active person? In fact, I think I can express myself in the past a year ago with one keyword, tough mental. Like a hedgehog, I often hid and run away to protect myself. I had a tough mentality that easily collapses when something difficult happens. I wanted to change myself like this, so I left Korea and went abroad to Russia for volunteer work. However, after the event there, I failed and I was scolded and my mentality collapsed. So when I do event again, I am filled with worries and fears. In Russia, I wonder if my personality would be fixed. But it still hasn't been fixed well. Looking at me like this, I thought a lot. I can't. There was an opportunity for me, who is such a tough mentality to change. It's a Russian speaking contest. Do you know Russian? Здравствуйте. Спасибо. You only know this, right? I was selected too. Language is the most important thing to talk to foreigners, right? It was difficult to pronounce and it took about 2 weeks to memorize and write alphabet. Then one day, I heard that there was a Russian speaking contest with 17 colleagues who came with me for volunteer work. I barely memorized the alphabet, but you want me to memorize Russian for 5 minutes and speak? I can't do it. I will only be embarrassed. I had negative thoughts like this. And the more I practiced, the more despair came. The contest day was getting closer. I wanted to run away to Korea. The branch manager said, Borim, what are you so worried about? You might make a mistake, but that's not important. The most important thing is not that you avoid and hide, but then you challenge yourself by bumping into the difficult part. You can do it. When I heard from the branch manager, I said, yes, I'm not a good person. What if I make a mistake? It's important that I challenge and participate in this contest. I started preparing with hope from then on. If I made a mistake, I repeated it again, and I asked a record to record what I didn't know, so I kept listening. That's how the contest day came, and I started making presentation as much as I practiced. Surprisingly, I was able to memorize Russian and present it. It's time to announce the winners. 50 play is 정보림. Yes, that's right. Among those 70 members, I was in 50th place. Me? Is it literally me? I was so surprised that I shed tears on the spot. The difficult times that I wanted to give up and passed by clearly. I cannot forget that moment. I'm not scared of whatever I do that I thought I couldn't change after that. But I kept challenging myself by imagining myself changing and growing in the future. There's no one who doesn't change. There's no one who can't. Those who continue to change everything will surely see good result and right. Thank you.
Contest number 26, 조한나. The title is Past is Just Past.
When I was in 8th grade, I ate lunch and played a game called Run Off with my friends during recess. In this game, the starting line is set first and the student who lost in the rock, paper, scissors becomes the tag. When the tagger shouts, "One step forward!" all the other students jump one step at a time from the starting line and wait. Then the tagger catches students from the starting line by moving only left and right. In other words, the player who jumps the furthest has the advantage. During the game, I got excited and fell over with a cracking sound in my leg while jumping a long distance. I just tried to get up, but my legs didn't have any strength, so I fell down again. I instantly knew something went wrong and became scared. So I told my friends, "I can't get up. Can you go and call the teacher for me?" However, my friends replied, "It's 3 minutes before class starts. Sorry, we need to go to class." I kept asking for help, and finally my friends, who lost in rock, paper, scissors game, grumbled and went to call the teacher. When the teacher came, I went to the hospital with wheelchair. Hospital doctors told me my ligaments were completely torn and that an artificial joint operation was required. If I came a little later, I would have been unable to walk. I went into the operation room and underwent 3 hours later. I had stayed in the hospital for 2 months. While I was in the hospital, I felt very sorry for my parents and even though of committing suicide. However, it was more depressing to witness how my parents reacted during the situation. I thought I had a good relationship with my parents, but the only thing that came back to me were wounds. After that day, I didn't want to give my parents any more faith or sincerity. After graduating middle school, I moved to high school. I didn't tend to open my heart to anyone and didn't stay very close to friends that I met at the camp. One day, I played a game called Gyeongdo with my friends. This is a game where the police team captures the thief team. Because I was in the thief team, I ran away and accidentally banged my head against an idol. I immediately fell and my nosebleeds ran down and blurred my vision. At this moment, my middle school days suddenly began to overlap. However, unlike my expectation, my parents came to me and immediately called the teacher for help. When I arrived at the hospital, I did some examinations and slept for about 3 hours. When I woke up, I was startled by my teacher. A friend of mine who I used to treat her badly was waiting outside asking, "Has Hannah woke up yet?" When I heard those words, I thanked my friend, but I also felt very sorry. Tears began flowing down my face. Even though I was not treating her well, she sincerely thought about me. I realized that I was haunting my friends the same way, assuming that everyone would not be nice to me just because I had a bad experience in the past. Through this experience, I was able to realize something. The more I tend to cry to the past, the more I bet grew me. I think we all have regrets and miserable memories in our lives. Like myself, some people may live lives that are tangled to the past. I hope those people do not make the same mistake that I did. The past is the past, and the present is the most important. Because the past cannot be changed, I hope you can forget about them and stick to reality.
Contest number 27, 최예지. The title is How to Be Good at Being Bad.
Today, I would like to share my experience of learning how to play the guitar. I took 2 different classes from 2 different teachers in my school. Who would have thought guitar lessons could be life-changing? Believe it or not, these 2 different classes each brought a very significant change in my life. I was 14 when I had my first guitar lesson. I still remember the excitement of holding the guitar for the first time. I couldn't wait to play a piece with this beautiful, curvy instrument. Unfortunately, playing the guitar wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. It was hard for me to quickly switch through from one chord to another. While I was struggling with one chord, the song would move on to the next chord and the next, leaving me behind. As I stopped playing and looked around, I could see the whole class except me playing in perfect sync. My middle school music teacher, Mrs. Lee, soon found out that I was falling behind. She decided that I needed a special lesson. She made me play the guitar in front of the classroom. If I struggled or failed to play the chord, she would kick me. Yes, she would kick me in the shin hard with her pointy heels. All eyes were on me when this happened, but no one said anything about it, because all of my classmates, including me, thought that was what you deserved for being a slow learner. Teachers from other classes weren't that much different either. If you weren't catching up with the rest of the classroom, it meant you weren't trying hard enough. You had to be competitive, and falling behind was something to be embarrassed of. Now I'll move on to my second story. Years passed. I never thought I would get to play the guitar after my traumatic experience in middle school. But guess what I saw when I walked into my high school music classroom? Guitars. I performed awfully in this class as well because I couldn't help myself from flinching every time I made a mistake. But my new music teacher, Mrs. Kim, was different. She never let any student feel ashamed for falling behind, and at the same time, never excused one to stop trying either. She taught our class that our objective was not excellence, but patience and efforts to get there. Did my guitar skills improve after her class? No. But does that make me a bad person? Not anymore. My attitude towards a challenge has changed significantly after her class. When I'm trying to learn something new, I don't stress myself trying to be good at it. I try to be good at being bad at it. How? Start by embracing your initial ignorance and clumsiness. Because mistakes itself could never wound you, but obsession over not making one will. Second, stop comparing yourself with others. Focus only on the progress you made. We get told from a very young age that life is a race, a competition. But now I believe that life is actually a marathon. It doesn't matter how much time it takes for you to go through the finishing line. You're a winner as long as you tried all you could. I hope my story gave you all the courage to race in your own pace. Thank you for your attention.
Contest number 28, 최희정. The title is A Path of Happiness.
I had my first part-time job this year. It was a part-time job at a convenience store that many people thought was an easy job. At the first interview, the boss said, "Don't just beat around the counter and think of it as 7-Eleven University." I said to myself, no, I'm just here to make money. What learn to think about university? I wondered. As I work, I realized there were so many things to think about and do. From greeting customers when they come in, how to arrange the store, how to adapt to the circumstances, clean up, how to treat customers. I had to learn everything anew as it was my first time working. As many people do, I thought part-time job was only a matter of spending time. No matter how I work, I can earn pay if I fill time without causing big problems. It seemed rather foolish to work hard at something that could be done roughly. I thought I didn't have to work hard on anything. Then, there was an incident that changed my mind. One day, I saw a street cleaner who came to buy a disinfectant and a band. Are you alright? How did you get there like that? I asked him and he said he was stabbed by something sharp while cleaning. Since then, I've always been seeing him sweating and working happily. One day, when he came to the convenience store to buy a drink, I asked him how he could work so hard. He said, one should clean the neighborhood, isn't it? I think I clean up on behalf of this town. Whether people recognize it or not, it's a great pleasure that I'm having a positive impact on their lives. By doing this, besides, I receive money. This is the best thing I can do. He was full of pride and works well for his work. And that's why he is always happy that he can work joyfully. I was so ashamed of myself. This is because I tried to do things roughly on work that people didn't recognize or in small things. My work was much easier and more comfortable than him, but I wasn't happy and joyful at all. Yes, I was only responsible for my work and had no pride or worthwhile. Since then, I thought the convenience store is not just a place to stand thoughtlessly, but a place to observe people's life. It came to a new meaning because I thought I was playing a vital role in the process of purchasing what someone really needed. From the day on, I started cleaning harder and I treated the customers with all my heart. Thinking that I was having a positive impact on their lives made me feel worthwhile. Nothing has changed, but my point of view and my mindset have changed completely. A perspective is another path of happiness. Change your perspective if you can't change your situation as you want. What you're doing now will be more valuable and new. And wake up with happiness and sleep with joy. I hope that this positive change that I've experienced will cover the whole world. Thank you.
Contest number 29, 추은상. The title is Courage to Ask for Help.
When looking back at this past school semester, what comes to mind? Sadness? Joy? I'm a sophomore now. When I was in my first year, I was worried about different teaching methods and exams from high school. Still, I studied with confidence, believing that if I try and do well, I can get good grades. And well, everything came out pretty well. I can do well if I do it alone. What do you think? Of course, we gotta do it alone. That's natural. There will be people who answer like this. Not long ago, I thought the same thing. I spent time empowering myself, cheering up, and comforting myself. But this doesn't work at all in two typical situations like group assignments given in the first semester of the second grade. You probably know this, but you can't really do group assignments on your own. Communication is necessary. I was a burden to meet and share opinions with others that I couldn't participate well, and eventually my score went down. For me, why is so familiar with doing it alone? The group project was an ordeal. I thought I could do anything well on my own, but it was hard to recover after failing that one time. Since then, I received poor scores for other assignments in a row and failed the test. I was disappointed in myself and embarrassed to talk to others. After the start of the vacation, I lost my motivation and listened to a lecture from a classmate who went to study abroad. At first, he couldn't speak English, so it was very difficult because he was ignored by his friends. If it were me, I would have felt ashamed of myself. But the student was different. The student began to inform the people around him of the difficulties. He got help. His friends told him, "It's okay if you can study, but don't give up because it's hard." And people who give up easily can't do anything. After hearing this, he did not give up and overcame the difficulties of not being able to speak English. So now he can speak English freely. Since he can't solve his difficulties alone, he asked for help. After hearing this story, I looked back on how it was. I yelled out that I could do it alone. But when I had a small difficulty, I fell down and felt ashamed of myself. So I complained and struggled without asking anyone for help. Even though there were professors, seniors, and parents around me who could help me. So, in the second semester, I try not to think I can do it alone. No. If you have difficulties, try to ask others for help and don't give up and try to solve the problem. I changed my mind like this. You're already looking forward to what will happen in front of me, right? Then I will see you here again in a year. Thank you.
Contest number 30, Ho Jin Young. The title is Trash Can in My Mind.
You know well that when there is no storage space on your computer to drive, you need to find unnecessary information and delete some of it. I'm gonna tell you a little unfamiliar story that can be obtained through the emptying process. After cleaning my room around July last year, I sat down at my desk and inadvertently looked at the trash can in the corner of the room and fell in thought. Like my dirty room, when I looked into the room of my mind, there were a lot of unorganized thoughts mixed in. Suddenly I thought that if I could empty my messy thoughts in my mind into the trash can, it would not only help me study, but also help me get physiological stability ahead of entrance exam. While working on those thoughts for many days, I discovered two principles about emptying. First, there are a lot of concerns going on in my mind. For the first time, I wrote down my concerns in detail. After that, I distinguished what I could and couldn't do and made a decision about what I could at the moment. The decision quickly made me free from worries. Second, if you accept the unwanted thoughts, delusions, and unnecessary thoughts that come even if you don't want them, most of your mind will become a trash can. After much consideration, I decided to put the name tag of the trash on the thoughts that doesn't help me or causes me pain. Whenever such thoughts came to me, I designated them as trash. And I had the experience that they really lost their meaning and could not stay in my mind for long. I feel very comfortable these days. Compared to the past, my mind has become simpler and I have more time to study. Of course, I confess that this process will not be as easy as it sounds. If it's easy to get in the world, it will be less valuable. It is true that it takes a lot of trial and error and training. These days, I come across the articles that many self-employed people have given up their lives without overcoming economic and mental difficulties due to COVID-19. In addition, I hear the sad news that numerous teenagers fail to overcome the limitation of their thoughts and are easily frustrated and libelous. I think everyone in this era should have at least one trash can in their mind. When anyone is in trouble, wrong thoughts will come. At that time, we should have the courage to speak it. You are trash. I reject you for my sake. We live in an era where such training is needed. Do you agree with my way of life? Thank you.
Our last contestant of today, contestant number 31, Hwang Woo-ju. The title is My Dream, a Teacher.
Have you ever respected someone? Today, I will share my dream with you. My dream is to become a teacher. I've had this dream since I met my English teacher. I met my English teacher when in high school. I wanted to learn a lot from him and make a good impression on him as a student. I really enjoyed learning English when I was in primary school. But learning English was not that fun, and I found it boring and hard, particularly in high school. I lost my interest in learning English and found myself obsessed with getting higher scores, contrary to my belief that interests are highly proportional to test results. I wasn't able to genuinely enjoy learning English at the time. However, my teacher led me on the right path again with two teaching methods. He let us deliberately select passages that were related to each individual streams in the class, and this was a huge success. Most students became very passionate in reading such passages. Another teaching method was to adopt the mentor-mentee policy. He divided the class into two groups. One group included the students who liked learning English. The other had those who had difficulties in learning English. The mentors helped the mentees learn English, and the mentees had fun. This policy turned out to be popular very soon because the mentees were able to ask many questions when necessary. The teacher successfully stimulated our interest in learning English. Whenever I think of the value of a teacher, he's the first one that comes to mind, and I realize how important motivating students is in education. Furthermore, my dream has been solidified thanks to a Korean drama called Black Dog. In this drama, I found another opportunity to discover the meaning of a teacher. The drama emphasized that teachers constantly promote students' potentials. If I were to strictly go by this meaning, becoming a true teacher will be difficult, but I will try to attain this goal. To illustrate my personal experiences, I've seen too much school violence and so many classmates who are struggling in their relationship with friends. Besides, when I was a senior in high school, my friends had serious concerns about their major selections at college. I firmly believe that school must be a place which instills dreams and hopes in students instead of increasing their stress levels. My plan is to build a positive image for school, and later one day I want to hear my students say, "My happy school life was thanks to you. Thanks a lot." For what reasons does a teacher exist? This is a question I've always asked myself when thinking of the question, who is defined as a good teacher? The answer I gave myself was, let me be a teacher who provides for and delivers students' dreams, hopes, and good memories. I have this dream of my students acknowledging my teaching and feeling grateful that they have me as a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have finished all the speeches. Let us give another big round of applause to all of our contestants. At this time, we'll watch a congratulatory performance by Gracia's Boys and Girls Choir.
때도 참 어여뻐라 골목골목 산 담장이 달빛에 반기네
겨울
While we wait for the outcome, we'll invite a special lecturer for today's contest. The lecture will be given by Mr. Cho Gyu-yoon, the director of IYF Daejeon Chungcheong region. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
여러분 안녕하십니까? 반갑습니다. 오늘은 마음의 세계에 대한 이야기를 드리겠습니다. 사람이 사는 데 있어서 두 가지 세계가 있다고 말합니다. 눈에 보이는 세계와 눈에 보이지 않는 세계. 사람들은 눈에 보이는 세계를 더 중요시 여기죠. 외형을 더 중요시 여긴다는 것입니다. 특히 외모에 대해서는 굉장한 애착을 갖죠. 옷을 입는 거, 그리고 헤어스타일, 그리고 화장을 하고, 그래서 자신을 가꾸는데 굉장히 사람들은 마음의 시간을 빼앗기곤 합니다. 자, 오늘 참석한 여러분들 내 얼굴 정말 예쁘고 여기 미남, 미녀들이 다 모인 것 같아요. 여러분들이 오늘 이 행사에 참석하기 전에 또 아침에 일어나서 예쁘게 화장으로 단장도 하셨고, 네, 멋진 정장을 입고 오신 분도 계시고, 네, 요즘 유행하는 여러분 취향에 맞는 옷들로, 색상으로 또 여러분 자신을 아주 아름답게 잘 가꾸어서 한 분 한 분 너무 멋진 모습을 하고 있는 것 같습니다. 자, 그렇다면 우리가 살아가는 삶 속에 옷도 중요하지만 헤어스타일도 중요하지만 더 중요한 것이 있다면 몸이 더 중요하겠죠. 육체에 건강한 거, 내 몸이 건강할 때 우리는 삶의 활력을 느낄 수 있지만 몸이 약하고 병든다고 한다면 마음의 의욕도 잃어버리고 그래서 상심하고 살 때가 많겠죠. 그렇지만 몸이 건강하다면 너무너무 좋을 텐데요. 몸보다 더 중요한 건 마음이죠. 마음이 편안해야, 또 마음이 밝아야, 마음이 건강해야 몸도 건강하다는 말이 있습니다. 그렇다면 몸도 마음도 건강하다면 더 좋겠죠. 거기서 마음의 행복이, 평안이 싹트게 될 테니까요. 부부가 행복할 때, 가정이 화목할 때 아이들 마음도 건강해진다고 합니다. 자, 그렇다면 농부가 밭에 씨앗을 뿌리고 나면 봄이 되면 밭을 갈죠. 그리고 씨앗을 파종하죠. 그리고 햇볕이 쬐이고 물이 뿌려지고 뭔가 조건이 갖추어진다면 어느새 그 씨앗은 싹을 틔우고 꽃을 피우면서 열매를 맺어가게 될 거라는 것입니다. 자, 그렇다면 농부는 무엇을 기대하게 되죠? 땅을 기대하지 않고 그 땅에 심겨진 씨앗을 기대하게 됩니다. 그 씨앗을 기대하는 동안 어느새 예쁜 꽃도 피우고 열매가 맺어져서 이제는 수확을 거두게 되는 것이죠. 사람은 마음이 밭이라고 합니다. 사람의 마음은 그릇과 같고 밭과 같다고 하죠. 그렇다면 그 마음의 그릇에 무엇을 채우느냐, 그리고 무엇이 심겨지느냐에 따라서 달라진다고 합니다. 어떤 사람은 어릴 때부터 자라는 환경이 화목하고 단란한 가정에서, 행복한 가정에서 자라면서 긍정적인 사고를 가지고 살아오는 사람도 있습니다. 그래서 때로는 어려움이 있지만, 때로는 사람과의 갈등이, 부딪힘이 있지만 늘 긍정적인 사고로 대처해 가면서 삶을 밝게 살아가는 사람도 있습니다마는 그 마음에 부정적인 생각이 그 마음의 밭에 심겨져서 이제 그 마음에 부정적인 생각을 늘 하고 살다 보면 어떤 어려움이나 형편을 만날 때마다 빼딱한 생각, 그리고 어그러진 생각, 마음이 꼬여 있다 보니까 늘 사람과의 다툼과 부딪힘이 일어나게 마련입니다. 사람은 살면서 하루에 1시간에 2000가지 생각을 한다고 합니다. 그렇다면 24시간 48,000가지, 약 5만 가지 생각을 한다고 하는데요. 그 많은 생각들이 스쳐 지나가지만 결국 사람의 마음에 자리 잡아서 그 마음을 주장하고 그 마음에 영향을 주는 생각은 서너 가지에 불과하다고 합니다. 여러분의 마음의 그릇에 무엇을 담고 살아가십니까? 여러분의 마음의 밭에는 어떤 생각의 씨앗이 심겨져 있습니까? 그 마음의 밭에 어떤 씨앗을 심느냐, 어떤 생각이 심겨지느냐에 따라서 어떤 마음을 품고 사느냐, 어떤 꿈을 꾸고 살아가느냐에 따라서 삶은, 결과는 달라지게 되는 것이죠. 그래서 우리 마음에 어떤 어두운 생각이 하나 주장을 하게 되면 어두운 삶을 살게 되는 것이고, 그것이 행동으로 나타나지면서 결국 불행을 가져다 주는 것 아니겠습니까? 그러나 긍정적인 생각 하나가 그 마음을 주장하게 됐을 때 밝은 마음으로, 그리고 밝은 삶으로 이끌어주면서 주변 사람들에게 평안을 끼치고 또 다른 사람과 소통하며 교류하면서 행복한 삶을 영위할 수 있을 것입니다. 여러분, 크게 될 놈이라는 영화 본 적이 있으십니까? 예. 저는 그 영화를 보면서 어머니의 사랑이 진한 감동을 가져다 주는데요. 여러분, 이 영화 볼 때는 꼭 손수건 준비하셔야 될 거예요. 얼마나 눈물이 나는지 곳곳에서 남자, 여자 할 것 없이 젊은이 나이 드신 분 할 것 없이 모두가 눈물을 지으면서 눈물을 훔치며 영화를 보는 모습을 봤는데요. 김기성 씨 바로 그 영화의 실제 주인공인데요. 여러분, 이 김기성 씨는 어릴 때 동네 어른들에게 이놈은 크게 될 놈이여 하는 말 한마디, 그 말 한마디를 듣고 난 이후 늘 그는 나는 크게 될 놈이야 그러면서 자신을 과신하며 살았다고 합니다. 친구들과 같이 농작물을 훔쳐서 팔다가 붙잡혔습니다. 그때 그 모든 죄를 김기성 씨가 다 뒤집어 쓰게 되면서 다른 친구들은 풀려나게 됐죠. 그러면서 동네 어른들이 저놈은 크게 될 놈이야 그렇게 칭찬을 했던 것입니다. 그러한 칭찬이 그 마음을 사로잡게 되면서 이제는 사람이 자만하게 되고 자신감이 생기게 되면서 남의 말을 듣지 않게 되고 작은 일은 시들하게 여기고 이제는 뭔가 한탕주의로 흘러가게 되면서 범죄 조직에 빠지게 되고 그는 살인의 살인 미수가 되어서 17년이라는 교도소 안의 생활을 지냈다고 합니다. 그는 어느 날 멘토를 만나면서 그 삶의 진정한 변화를 가져오게 됐다고 하는데요. 교도소 안에 지내는 동안 많은 사람들은 이제 밖에 나가면 내가 죄 짓지 말고 바르게 살아야지라는 생각을 한다고 합니다. 그도 역시 이제 손을 씻고 이제 나가면 다시는 이곳에 오지 말아야지 하는 마음이 있었습니다마는 그곳에서 지내던 몇몇 모범수로 지냈던 사람들이 한 달이 지나고 두 달이 지나고 석 달이 지나면서 한 사람, 두 사람, 세 사람 다시 교도소 안에 붙잡혀오는 모습을 보면서 충격을 받았던 것입니다. 나는 모범수도 아닌데 내가 나가면 저들처럼 다시 이곳에 들어오게 되겠구나. 내가 이곳에 다시 들어오지 않으려면 어떻게 해야 되는 걸까? 누군가 나를 붙들어 주지 않으면, 누군가 나를 붙잡아 주지 않으면, 누군가 나를 이끌어 주지 않으면, 누군가 내 마음속에 새 마음을 불어넣어 주지 않으면 안 되겠구나 라는 생각을 갖게 되면서 한 멘토분에게 편지를 보냈습니다. 저는 이곳에 다시 들어오고 싶지 않습니다. 그러나 몇몇 모범수가 저분들은 다시는 이곳에 들어올 거라고 생각지 않았는데 그들이 다시 들어오는 모습을 보면서 저는 자신이 없습니다. 선생님, 저를 붙잡아 주시겠습니까? 저를 이끌어 주시겠습니까? 선생님이 지도해 주신다면 선생님의 지도를 받겠습니다. 그러면서 편지를 쓰게 됐는데 그 선생님께서 김기성 씨를 받아주면서 그곳에서 지도를 받고 인도를 받는 동안 그는 삶의 변화를 가져오게 되었던 것입니다. 이제 그는 꿈을 품게 되었네요. 나는 훌륭한 사람이 될 거야 라고 말입니다. 그리고 나같이 어두운 삶을 살았던 사람들을 찾아다니면서 그들의 마음에 진정한 소망을 심어주고 꿈을 심어주고 싶었던 것입니다. 드디어 그 꿈은 이루어져서 전 세계 교정청을 찾아다니면서 재소자들을 만나 그들에게 꿈을, 희망을 심어주고 있다고 합니다. 여러분, 이렇게 누구든지 어릴 때부터 그 마음에 작은 마음에 꿈을 품게 되고 작은 마음에 씨앗이 심겨지게 될 때 그 꿈을 마음에 품고 살아가는 동안 반드시 그 꿈이 이루어진다고 하는 것인데요. 여러분, 그거 아십니까? 꿈은 크게 가져야 한다는 거. 그래야 깨어져도 조각이라도 크죠. 네, 그렇습니다. 한어른의 마음속에 파일럿이 되려는 꿈을 가졌네요. 그 꿈을 갖게 되면서 그는 조종사를 꿈꾸며 하루하루를 살아가게 되죠. 공부를 할 때도 그는 이제 조종사를 꿈꾸면서 조종사로서 삶을 살아가게 되는 것입니다. 이제는 어느덧 어른이 돼서 어엿한 조종사가 돼서 하늘을 알고 있는 그 모습 너무 아름다워 보이지 않습니까? 여러분의 삶도 이제 꿈이 없이 살아왔다면 이제 여러분의 마음에도 꿈을 한번 가져보십시오. 그리고 나에게 가장 맞는 게 무엇인지, 그리고 여러분 마음에 꿈을 마음에 품고만 살아도 그 꿈은 이루어진다는 사실 믿으시기 바랍니다. 여러분, 허리우드의 유명한 배우 아시겠습니까? 짐 캐리라는 사람이죠. 그는 트루먼 쇼, 마스크 이런 유명한 작품의 주인공이 됐었죠. 그가 무명 시절 그는 높은 언덕 위에 올라서 소리쳤다고 합니다. 나는 $10,000,000 배우가 될 거야 라고 말입니다. 그리고 그는 또 소리쳤다고 합니다. 나는 훌륭한 배우가 될 거야. 많은 사람들이 나에게 출연 요청을 해올 거야. 아직은 때가 되지 않았을 뿐이야. 그러면서 그는 자주자주 높은 언덕 위에 올라 소리쳤다고 하네요. 그렇다면 지금 그는 어떻게 되었습니까? 네, 그 높은 언덕에 자주 올라서 그는 외쳤습니다. 나는 $10,000,000 배우가 될 거라고 말입니다. 그리고 이제 훌륭한 배우가 될 거야. 많은 사람들이 나에게 찾아와 출연 요청을 할 거야. 그 소리쳤던 것처럼, 그렇게 마음에 꿈을 품고 살았던 것처럼 그 꿈이 이루어졌던 것입니다. 세상에 많은 사람들이 사랑하는, 그리고 이제 많은 사람들에게 알려진 훌륭한 영화 배우가 되었다는 사실이죠. 여러분 마음에도 이런 꿈을 한번 품어보시지 않겠습니까? 여기 저는 한국에 하나밖에 없는 클래식 음악 중고등학교, 그 학생들을 자주 만나는데요. 그 학생들은 아침마다 마인드 교육 시간이 있는데요. 그들이 외칩니다. 나는 세계 최고의 피아니스트 누구누구입니다. 나는 세계 최고 바이올리니스트 누구누구입니다. 어느 이 사진에 나오는 학생, 태준이라는 학생인데요. 그는 나는 세계 최고의 트럼펫터 누구누구입니다라고 오늘도 외치고 있습니다. 제가 이 학생들에게 묻는데요. 여러분, 지금 세계 최고의 음악가라고 그렇게 믿으십니까? 아니요, 아니요 라고 외칩니다. 제가 말합니다. 아니야, 지금 세계 최고라고 믿어. 그러면 반드시 그렇게 되는 거야. 사람들은 지금 자신의 모습을 바라보며 쉽게 그렇게 외치기 어렵죠. 이제 자신의 모습만 보지 말고 미래의 나를 바라보며 세계 최고라고 한번 여러분도 외쳐보시지 않겠습니까? 이 학생은 어둡게 삶을 살았습니다. 초등학교 때 왕따를 당하면서, 그리고는 이제 어느 날은 그가 일진이 되어서 약한 아이들을 괴롭히며 그렇게 어두운 삶을 살았던 아이인데요. 어느 날 이 아이는 행복을 찾았습니다. 저는 왜 음악을 하는지 아세요? 제가 왜 악기를 하는지 아세요? 제가 음악을 할 때 가장 행복하답니다. 그렇습니다. 여러분, 이렇게 그 마음속에 누구나 꿈을 품고 살아가는 동안 행복을 찾게 되는 것입니다. 그리고 여러분 마음의 밭에 어떤 꿈을 품고 어떤 마음을 품고 어떤 생각을 품고 살아가느냐에 따라서 여러분의 삶의 결과가 달라지게 되는데요. 오늘 여러분 마음에 안 된다는 생각만 갖지 말고, 부정적인 생각만 품지 말고, 나는 돼. 나에게는 정말 꿈이 있어. 그리고 나는 세계 최고의 배우가 될 거야. 나는 세계 최고의 파일럿이 될 거야. 나는 세계 최고의 트럼펫터가 될 거야. 이런 꿈을 마음에 한번 꾸고 살아가시지 않겠습니까? 그리고 한번 외쳐보시지 않겠습니까? 그렇다면 여러분 삶 속에 진정 그 꿈은 이루어지게 돼 있는데요. 어떤 생각을 받아들이느냐에 따라 삶이 달라지는 것이죠. 오늘 여러분 한 분 한 분 이 행사에 참석을 해서 하루하루 시간을 보내는 동안 또 여러분이 이 행사에 참여하는 동안 여러분의 마음에 전에 갖지 못했던 새로운 생각, 전에 가질 수 없었던 새로운 마음, 또 다른 사람의 마음을 만나면서 다른 사람과 소통하고 교류하면서 여러분 전에 품을 수 없었던 새로운 마음이 여러분의 마음에 심겨지게 되면서 여러분 마음 밑바닥에서 행복이 싹트게 될 것입니다. 그 행복은 열매로 나타나게 될 것입니다. 그리고 여러분 자신만 행복해지는 것이 아니라 다른 사람에게 행복을 주는 사람이 될 것입니다. 여러분 행복한 마음을 가지고 살아간다면 여러분을 만나는 사람들이 진정 행복해질 거라고 믿는데요. 여러분들은 어떤 삶을 살고 싶으십니까? 이제 여러분 자신만을 위해 살지 말고 다른 사람을 위해 살아가는 삶, 그리고 마음에 꿈을 품고 꿈을 이루고 살아가는 삶, 그 삶이 가장 보람되고 가치 있는 삶이 될 거라는 것입니다. 여러분 행복하시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
Did you enjoy the lecture? We tend to accept our thoughts without knowing where they are coming from. I hope you discern your thoughts, and if they are good, please help them grow well. How about growing the thought of becoming the world's best English speaker? In order to give the judges more time for review, we'll watch a promotional video of the Good News Corps, which provides an overseas volunteer program for a year.
아프리카 탄자니아에는 어려운 가정 형편으로 교육을 제대로 받지 못하는 학생들이 여전히 많습니다. 탄자니아 학생들을 위해서 한국 청년들이 문화교육에 나섰다고 하는데요.
자, 이번에 소개해드릴 젊은이들도 이 청춘을 무기 삼아서 전 세계를 돌면서 1년 동안 봉사활동을 펼쳤다고 합니다.
머나먼 이국 땅 에티오피아에는 축구를 통해서 희망을 전하는 동포 청년이 있습니다. 현지 축구단 코치로 일하면서 한국식 팀 플레이와 협동심을 가르치고 있다고 하는데요.
세계 각국에서 온 자원봉사자들이 학교 외벽에 벽화를 그리고 있는 중이다. 세계 지도를 그리는 봉사자들의 얼굴이 낯설지가 않다.
그런데 우리나라 자원봉사단이 아프리카의 큰 잔치 중에 하나인 아프리카 대학체전이라는 행사에서 눈부신 활약을 펼치고 왔는데요.
에티오피아 정부 관계자분들도요, 그 열정적인 우리 봉사단 분들의 모습에 정말 감동을 하셨다고 합니다.
이런 게 바로 국위선양 아니겠습니까? 우리 봉사단이 해외에서 뜻깊은 일을 했다는 게 정말 자랑스럽고 아주 그 주말을 맞이해서 훈훈한 소식 잘 봤습니다.
여기 굿 뉴스콜을 통해 진정한 행복을 만난 사람들이 있습니다. 우리는 1년 동안 자신의 한계를 뛰어넘었고 마음을 나누며 함께 흐르는 법을 배웠으며 그동안 알지 못했던 내 모습을 발견하면서 변치 않는 사랑을 만나 변화되는 행복을 배웠고 이제 또 다른 변화를 향해 나아갑니다. 세계 최고의 굿 뉴스코 해외 현장 프로그램 인큐베이팅, 사람을 키웁니다. 교육봉사 프로그램을 통해 교육과 경험의 장을 만듭니다. 우리는 세상을 바꾸는 디자이너입니다. 사회봉사 프로그램으로 현지에 실질적인 도움을 줍니다. 빈 종이 위에 꿈을 디자인하는 자기계발형 봉사. 문화 외교 프로그램으로 한국 문화와 현지 문화의 교류를 실현합니다. 우리는 마음과 마음을 잇습니다. 선도 봉사 프로그램으로 사람들에게 기독교 정신을 바탕으로 희망의 메시지를 전합니다. 위대함은 평범함을 깨는 것입니다. 민간 외교 프로그램으로 세상에 큰 일을 할 수 있는 리더로 성장해 나갑니다. 선택의 폭이 넓은 월드와이드 해외봉사. 군 유스코 해외봉사단은 세계 최다 보유국가인 95개국에서 해외봉사를 진행합니다.
여러분, 오늘 여러분의 발표가 너무 훌륭해서 우열을 가리기가 어려운 것 같습니다. While waiting, we'll watch another performance by Gracia's choir.
Non piandrai farfallone amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girando, belle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Belle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei pennacchini, quel cappello leggero e galante, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante, quel vermiglio d'onesco colore, quel vermiglio d'onesco color. Non più avrai quei pennacchini, quel cappello, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante. Non più andrai farfallone amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girando, delle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Delle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Ragueriri po farmaco, gran mustacchi stretto sacco, schioppo in spalla, sciabla al fianco, collo dritto, muso franco, un gran casco, un gran turbante, molto onor, poco contante, poco contante, poco contante. Ed invece del fandango una marcia per il fango, per montagna, per valloni, con le nevi e soglioni, al concerto di tromboni, di bombarde, di cannoni, che le palle in tutti i toni all'orecchio fa fischiar. Non più avrai quei pennacchini, non più avrai quel cappello, non più avrai quella chioma, non più avrai quell'aria brillante. Non più andrai farfallone amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girando, delle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Delle belle turbando il riposo, narcisetto ad uncino d'amor. Cherubino alla vittoria, alla gloria militar, cherubino alla vittoria, alla gloria militar, alla gloria militar, alla gloria militar. Bist du mir nun ganz gegeben? Nun so sei mein Liebesweibchen, mein Liebesweibchen. Welche Freude wird das sein? Benedictorus pedeke, unsere liebe Kinder schenken, unsere liebe Kinder schenken, so liebe kleine Kinderlein, 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 so liebe kleine Kinderlein, so liebe kleine Kinderlein, erst eine kleine Papageno, dann wieder eine Papageno, 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 Papageno. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Wenn viele Papageno, Papageno, der ältere Segen werden sein. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Wenn viele Papageno, der ältere Segen werden sein. Papageno, 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 der ältere Segen werden sein. Papageno, 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 der ältere Segen werden sein. Der ältere Segen werden sein. Der ältere Segen werden sein.
At this time, we'll listen to the judges' remarks given by Professor Ella Kidd.
Good afternoon, presenters. First of all, I want to commend all of the presenters who presented today because I know that writing your speeches and orating them in a second language, it's not very easy at all. And second of all, if you don't place today, don't give up. Please keep going because you all are winners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the moment that you've all anxiously been waiting for, the award ceremony. We'll start with the most impressionable speech and Judges' Choice Award. Most impressionable speech award is a gift certificate. 문화상품권 5만 원권입니다. Most impressionable speech award goes to number 9. 민경욱. Certificate of Award presented to 민경욱, Most Impressionable Speech, University. This certificate is presented to the above student for placing as specified above in the 21st IYF Online English Speech Contest, Daejeon Chungcheong Regional Finals, organized by the International Youth Fellowship, November 6th, 2021, Chairman of IYF, Moontaek Park. Congratulations! Judges' Choice Award is a gift certificate. 문화상품권 5만 원권입니다. Judges' Choice Award goes to number 7, 김혜민. Congratulations, same as above. We have 5 special prizes. Special prize is a gift certificate. 문화상품권 5만 원권입니다. Special prize goes to number 10, 민동규. Number 11, 박선애. Number 21, 장하영. Number 24, 정미희. Number 30, 허진영. Congratulations! Same as above. Third prize, 장학금 10만 원이 부상으로 주어집니다. Third prize goes to number Number 15, 이상훈. Congratulations. 상장 이상훈. 위 학생은 사단법인 국제청소년연합이 주최한 제21회 IYF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회 대전 충청지역 본선에서 위와 같이 입상하였으므로 상장을 드립니다. 2021년 11월 6일 충남일보 회장 조영민. Congratulations. Now, second prize. Second prize is given by the president of 충남일보. 충남일보 사장상입니다. 장학금 10만 원이 부상으로 주어집니다. 15만 원이 부상으로 주어집니다. Second prize goes to number 27, 최예지. Congratulations. 상장 최예지. 위 학생은 사단법인 국제청소년연합이 주최한 제21회 IYF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회 대전 충청지역 본선에서 위와 같이 입상하였으므로 상장을 드립니다. 2021년 11월 6일 충남일보 회장 조영민. Congratulations. Now, first prize. First prize is given by the chairman of 충청북도 Council. 충청북도 의회장상입니다. 1등 상과 대상은 공직선거법상 부상이 따로 없습니다. First prize goes to number 31, 황우주. Congratulations. 상장 황우주. 위 학생은 사단법인 국제청소년연합이 주최한 제21회 IYF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회 대전 충청지역 본선에서 위와 같이 입상하였으므로 상장을 드립니다. 2021년 11월 6일 충청북도 의회장 박문희. Congratulations. Now the last prize, grand prize. Grand prize is given by the chairman of 대전 Metropolitan City Council. 대전광역시 의회장상입니다. Grand Prize Award goes to number, let's drum roll together, number 16, 이상희. Congratulations. 상장 이상희. 위 학생은 사단법인 국제청소년연합이 주최한 제21회 IYF 온라인 영어 말하기 대회 대전 충청지역 본선에서 위와 같이 입상하였으므로 상장을 드립니다. 2021년 11월 6일 대전광역시 의회장 권중순. Congratulations. 상장과 부상으로 주어진 문화상품권은 다음 주에 우편으로 발송됩니다. 잠시 기념 촬영이 있겠습니다. 여러분 모두 화면에서 큰 하트를 만들어서 포즈를 취해주세요. 하나, 둘, 셋. Thank you very much. Now, this will conclude the 21st IYF Online English Speech Contest 대전 충청 Regional Finals. Thank you very much. We're going to have a Q&A session now. Please raise your hands if you have any questions. 심사 관련 의문사항이나 질문이 있으신 분은 꼭 여기 계신